All right, what's poppin', Tub
Hello.
Nation? Welcome back to Tub Takes. This
What
is going to
up?
be a fun one. We're hot off the presses with the new format, I guess. Is that the word? Adi's got his stupid videos, his stupid effects. Anyways,
Stop that. I hate that.
we also should have one more person with us. I guess I should introduce the people, but I should also introduce the show. Let's try to do this all in order. Anyways, this is the VGC video podcast where we go over what's been making waves in the VGC scene. I'm losing my
Has,
track
has anything
train.
interesting happened in VGC in the last hour? I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have today with me my co-host Adi.
What's up, everyone? How's it going?
No, not you, not you. We also do have Rajan here. Also, I gotta bump up the cameras. How's it going, Rajan?
How are you doing? Hello.
Rajan had to mention it before to me that his opinion matters for this one, and I need to mention it to y'all that his opinion matters for this one because he has won
Yeah.
a first in format regional. And so, if you want to know how to do well in a first in format regional, you've got, your Portland regional champion here who won the first Reg F tour, and we have the person who won the first Reg G tour. It's a bummer that we didn't get the first Reg H tour winner here.
But we do have the person who won the first Moon Series tour as well coming on real soon.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So yeah, Nails will be coming by. I did say somebody. I'm already reading some of the chat messages. Alex told us that too restricted was definitely not happening. Credibility shattered. Honestly, I did. I was a firm believer that it wasn't going to
You
happen.
weren't thinking it wasn't going to happen. You were a demon.
Yes,
is what it was.
Oh
It
no
was
no no! I
less
was
that you
saying.
didn't think-
Go ahead.
No. I was just more saying like you just lost faith.
I was thinking that it was going to happen just down the line. I thought that there was a possibility we got something else this time, but yeah, it is going to be just double restricted. Woo!
Just double restricted.
So
I
it is
quote
pretty
tweeted
convenient that it is always convenient when TPCI waits for Monday at 8 or Monday at 7 to make the announcement.
I was gonna thank the inventor of the calendar for making March 31st, 2025 land on a Monday because I think that's the reality of why we got the format on a Monday. Well, a Monday for us. It's technically coming out on Tuesday for the rest of the world. Like not the rest of the world, but a lot of the world.
But a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's coming out on Tuesday if you are watching on YouTube.
True.
You can watch this on YouTube tomorrow. If
Do
you can't stick around
folks
for the
actually
entire
do
time.
that, Audie? What are your view counts for these?
On YouTube? They do really
Yeah.
well. They get usually between 2,000 to 4,000 views every episode.
Yeah. We love our YouTube viewers. Despite what Rajan's trying to claim. Anyways,
I was just
I'm just putting words in your mouth for fun. I gotta get the people to hate you.
And if you are watching on YouTube, we only have 22 viewers right now on Twitch. Usually that grows a little bit as we continue recording. But you can come here, you can participate in the conversation, ask our guest questions whenever you want. So definitely come join us at twitch.tv.
That will require me to turn on the Twitch chat, so I'm gonna do that.
I might have heard Nails join the call. Nails, are you here?
I am here.
Awesome. How's it going?
You don't sound here, brother.
Okay,
you
fine,
sound
I'm there.
You sound
Like,
there.
Okay, whatever. So yes, the topics for this week, by the way, I feel like this has been really off the rails already. But the topics for this week are we're going to be talking about Brisbane, and we're going to be talking about of course the new format. That'll probably be the bulk of the conversation today. So Brisbane happened over the past weekend, and we're probably going to start with that one because it is personally, sorry to all the Australian players, the less interesting topic. VR, we're skipping that entirely. That one, I don't care to talk about a unofficial Reg G tournament. Like, obviously, yes, there was money on the line. It will have like some meta implications for the remaining Reg G tours like Atlanta and stuff. But
I don't think it will because I don't know what happened during that tournament.
That's true.
You say there was money on the line. There was less money for the winner than there was for getting top 16 in a regional.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of people got $50 for getting like top 8. Not
a
ton of money there. I will say a cool CSR team did win the event. So that's cool, right? We all love CSR teams.
That's not cool. Let's go ahead and talk about Reg G some more in
Max, thank you
Brisbane.
for the subscription, by the way. Max says, I will be Terapagos' strongest soldier. Well, you're going to have to pry that from Rajan's cold, dead hands because he has Terapagos opinions.
He
I'm
does.
We'll get to those later.
I'm the turtle guy, apparently, having never run it at anything in my entire life. Nick's eyes. You guys don't know Nick's like micro expressions as well as I do at this point. As soon as you said Rajan, like you had the pride from Rajan's dead hands, Nick's eyes funneled in like he was going angry Chansey for a second there. He's like, what the food?
So like honestly, we'll get to it later, but you can have turtle. Like it's all yours, buddy.
I'm hearing that from Nick. I'm excited to talk about this later, definitely, because it is in line with what I think as well. Anyways, Diego ended up winning Brisbane with a hard trick room team, known to do it. It got top 8 at Worlds this past year with a hard trick room team.
He got top 8 at Worlds this year with this team. Put some respect in the name.
Wait. Okay. I don't know if I thought maybe I phrased it weird, but I thought I was saying that. Anyways,
you said it got top 8. And I was like,
no, it did not. I mean, because he changed the team since then. So, that's technically there's been some differences. The Ogre Pond's changed form. It was a water pond back then, and I think the Bolt used to be a Glade, if memory serves correctly. Maybe some other slight adjustments here and there.
The crux of it was the CIR double
I'm getting my
redirection.
Glade confused. That's my bad.
The crux of the team that he preserved since Worlds was the CIR double Imprison with double redirection, like Terra Dragon CIR double redirection.
Yep.
With the idea that for the most part that if you're imprisoning Glacial Lance, then the Terra Dragon is actually a pretty goated defensive typing on the Pokemon. At Worlds, there were fewer Dazzling Gleams in the format than there are now. Excluding the Miraidon bit, obviously, but I even mean just Flutter is running Dazzling Gleam now when it wasn't doing that before. So it does take away a little bit of the ability to Terra, for example, in front of like a fire type like Chi-Yu when Flutter has Dazzling Gleam instead of just Moonblast, but it's still fundamentally the same idea.
Yep.
He still hates the move Protect. He has one of them, I think.
Yeah, the only one you ever need is to just get your Flame Orb activated. But otherwise, what can you give me a single other reason you need to protect besides getting Flame Orb activated? Position better. The
Chief's partner's damage.
Yeah, you're right. This is kind of funny to me is the Ogre Pond. So the masks remind me are 1.2, right?
1.2, yeah.
So it had to make up for the fact that it doesn't have a mask boosting its base power on Ivy Cudgel and running Woodhammer. Woodhammer also with Sash is just like, I'm just screaming inside. Like, I get it.
No,
I get it.
That's the point, brother.
Yes.
That's
the point.
It is.
Follow me, Trick Room, be at 1 HP, Woodhammer, Glacial Lance, die, bring in the bear or the tornado.
It is true. So, like, I can... I get it. I respect that, and honestly...
We'd get the boost, but Ice Rider is washed. Doesn't get the
boost. It's kind of cool, because it is also, like... I was going to say it Intimidate the turn, but we already have Clear Amulet. It helps your bear, I guess. But, yeah, Ogre Pond's still just, like, a really flexible
This really
Pokemon.
is just
Go ahead,
Cornerstone at home, huh? It just rock home?
It is kind of. Like, I don't know...
Sash Ogre Pond is, like, quite a cool guy. Like, it is really impactful to be able to put the focus sash on that Pokemon when you're trying to respond or like have redirect in front of like Chi-Yu and Calyrex Ice, because just like all the spread moves in the format like kind of sort of just OHKO the Pokemon. So having the Shadow Riders, Astrals, and then the Dazzling Gleams from the Miraidons and all that. So like Ogre Pond unfortunately just like kind of dies, right? Like Heartflame really, really, really uses its fire typing to not die. Ogre Pond just dies. So
yeah, I figured out why this is a Teal Pond and not a Rock Pond.
Yeah,
and it's literally just the Urshifu, and I'm sad.
Yeah, right. Just for Surging Strikes. That was my main guess. Yeah. Is that it is a little bit annoying to EV your Rock Ponds to survive Surging Strikes from like Mystic Water Urshifu or Terra Water Urshifu. It's possible. The Sun is also on the team, so I don't really know.
From
but
a
it's just
pacing perspective, it won't be
not on the team turn one.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. I think Diego did really cool, and he's been kind of killing it since Worlds. I think he brought similar to EOIC and ate shit, but I'm pretty sure he did well. Like it's really solid that he's like kind of sort of just running it back.
Still sticking to what he knows. I can respect that. Absolutely.
So did this Ice Rider Hard Trick Room team play a Lunala in finals? I
That's
gotta know.
true, right? No, it did not. Zamazenta ended up being the finals team here, and it has always made me
Does that
laugh.
say Stockholm?
It does. I know. I had to like reopen the
I was
page a
like, what
couple
the
of times
fuck?
to be like, did I mess up? Like I grabbed the right link, right? And yeah, it just says Stockholm here. It says it in the URL, which I have it, or not the URL,
There's
the
Brisbane up there,
the
Stockholm
tab.
on
But yeah, I've clicked back a couple of times. I'm like, this is Brisbane. I've clicked Brisbane. I've been clicking Brisbane, and yeah, it's just bugged.
the.
But yes, this team, it makes me laugh because yeah, I was a fan of Pow Knight in Regulation F, and it seems like a lot of people pair Pow Knight with Zamazenta, and it's just like it's always bothered me because like you lose to ghosts, and like let's just add the restricted that loses to ghosts. Like yes, we have Throat
The
Chop
only
on
other
our Shin
successful
Pow, but
Pound Knight before this though was Kyle, right? In top 8 at UIC. He paired it with Shadow.
yes, and I think that makes a lot more sense because like you want to, you hit the ghosts with with your Shadow Rider. So it just always amuses me when you see this kind of combo. Obviously, you have other ways to deal with them. You have a whole lot of Pokemon using the Sword of Ruin. Urshifu and Hearthflame still like one of the deadliest pairs in this format, and a Flutter can do decent against the ghosts too, despite not running Shadow Ball. Still gonna be able to hit them hard enough, maybe.
An aerial ace. Click that button, I guess.
True. Yeah, you can always click Aerial Ice in a pinch. But
The reason that you
yeah.
guys are hearing us kind of like stall a little bit while talking about this regional is because no one gives a fuck about it, unfortunately, at this
It's
point. Or like
yeah.
I have a regional in this format in 2 weeks. I could not care less about like what happened at Stockholm. Like it's cool. I appreciate seeing Diego do well. I appreciate seeing like Shohei being at the tournament and just popping off with like what makes a lot of sense, like for what I would have anticipated he would be running if I knew he was going to this tournament, right? Like there's
Mhm.
technically metagame progression here. I don't remember
Mhm.
Hobbit's actual name. It's Henry. His team is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Genting's like Calyrex Ice team is like actually sick as fuck. I think that team is really, really, really cool. Um,
Mhm.
but I
We can
I
just
wanted to
we
don't
can
talk about
care.
pause
this
and
one.
talk about some of these teams. You know,
I do want to talk about
we
this
do.
one. So I will talk about this one really
We
quick.
can give them a
So
couple minutes. Go ahead.
yes, this one is really neat to me. The thing about this one is that like Ice Rider teams, they're kind of they do have Scarf Fissure. I didn't even notice the Scarf Fissure. Um, But yeah, Ice Rider teams, a lot of people just go to Clear Amulet right away, and I'm always a fan of the people that are willing to try other items. This Calyrex Ice is Never Melt Ice. Actually, while we're talking about it, Nick Khan ran something that I've been wanting to test for a long time, but never bothered spending the time to do so. Ran Assault Vest Cali Ice in best of 3 here, which is really cool. Assault Vest Cali Ice doing well. And like a relatively boring team. Everything else is pretty simple here. Normal stuff you'd see, but AV on that guy. But anyways, back to Genting's team. I like this one because you have like you have some Intimidate Deterrent with like all of the Pokemon that hit Incineroar super effectively. You've got 2 Water types, Defiant, Ogerpon, and a Lando. Even our Chaladon can hit it super effectively with Body Press if you get enough defense boosts. You have Bullet Seed to side activate it, and I think our Chaladon is like a pretty cool. The Terapagos Heatran team that is going around. I think that it's actually pretty good into that team. You kind of just spam
No,
Snarl into
we were
them.
talking about it.
Go ahead.
We were talking about it a little bit earlier. Like you have the Ogerpon, Teal Mask, and the Archaludon
Yep.
with the side Bullet Seed activations into the arc to get like your boost up in front of like Turtle's friends. And then you
Yep.
get the Snarl to mitigate the turtle while just not taking damage from like any of the other relevant Pokemon. And it's a really cool way of taking like Turtle can be annoying for Ice Rider. Like it's kind of
Yep.
hard to break some of the partners a lot, and then you just give yourself like your own second restricted for like the Terapagos team to deal with, and that's just pretty funky. Especially with the Ogerpon Encore also deterring the ice like the Terapagos from setting up. So you're setting up your own guy and then stopping them from setting up, and then you still have a whole ass Calyrex in the back. I just think it's a really nifty way to approach the format.
They just can't do anything, it feels like, You encore the Calm Minds. If they go for Baby Star Storm, it's resisted by our Chaladon. If they go for Big Star Storm, like, they kind of wasted it, used it early. But, like, and then the body presses start
And
to
you have
hit
the
really
wide
hard.
guard too.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it'd be obnoxious. I imagine that this really makes those teams squirm. So yeah, Archaladon a cool guy, and
It
and so is
does feel
Steelmass.
funky because this version of the team doesn't have any of the fake out guys, right? Like that's
No.
what is kind of missing from the traditional like Ice Rider Pelly balance options, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
normally like an Incin or Rilla or some fake out dudes. But
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't actually feel like the team is lacking, right? It doesn't kind of feel like it has slots and then you're like,
Oh, it's also
well,
close combat.
it's broken, right? Like sometimes that's what happens when you kind of put the funky guys on. It just feels like your team doesn't have like the glue it needs to play. And I'm not feeling that way looking at these six.
Yeah, a lot of like thinking outside the
I
box
think
decisions on
Kool-Aid
this
might
team. I
be
think is
missing
cool.
in some matchups,
What'd you say,
but
Nick?
Was that Nick?
I could totally see it missing some glue guys in some matchups. Like, um, like a Sunny Day Torn looks like it shreds this.
Fortunately,
What you
that
want to lead
doesn't
Sunny Day
exist.
Torn into Calyrex Ice? Sounds good to me, boss.
If I
Also,
this
not
looks like
real, by the way. If you look at
Yeah, well,
I
if
don't
that's
know.
like
Calyrex,
the
like
first thing we're
other
picking, if that's the first thing, I'm just loading it up.
I don't know. You want me to pick out weaknesses that I see? I identify
Yeah, you're right.
weakness.
Sunny Day Torn.
my
no.
bad, my
I mean,
bad. Fucking delete this
I
shit.
Okay,
agree,
fine,
right? Like this team doesn't have a ton of protects. It has a couple, and it doesn't have a single ghost resist. It doesn't have a single ghost resist Terra. I am clicking fake out Astral protect switch, fake out Astral over and over again into
So,
this team.
what I do want to say to
Shadow
you,
Rider.
though,
There you
is
go.
that Ogerpon is like very good into Kali Ice, or excuse me, into Kali Shadow. Ogerpon, like the Terra from the Ogerpon, plus the pressure from both Aquajet Urshi and the Scarf Lando, like Teal Mask does about 80% with a 4-hit bullet seed when Terra'd into Shadow Rider, and then like they often have Rillaboom or have to intimidate you as well, and they want to bring their instant way to Kali Ice. Like Ogerpon applies a lot of pressure to the fake out versions of the team.
Mhm.
Um, more of them have Follow Me, which is like kind of annoying, and I think you're opting into tearing the Kali Ice and then or while using Ogerpon Terra as bait, but like it's still like you have options. It's Ogerpon 2MS is kind of crazy in the Calyrex Shadow.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's got tools. I'm sure Genting did not dodge Caloric Shadow all day. I'm not
You can
sitting there saying I
check.
really don't know.
That's true. We can literally
Um,
fact check.
but yeah, no, it's like that's the matchup where I look at this team and I think it's gonna struggle into double redirect.
All right, yeah,
Pivoting.
get fact checked, loser. It beat a Shadow Rider. Your argument's disproven,
Idiot.
and I don't have to listen to anything you say for the rest
It
of the
doesn't even have
podcast.
fake out. The team doesn't have that was a CSR without fake out. That doesn't count.
Oh, wow. So we have to be ready for every single edge case. Cool. Yeah. It's like
Removing
Sunny
the
Day
fucking
Torn and Fake Out
goalpost.
Shadow Rider. Cool.
Uh, show me the CSR with fake out that like was in this tournament. It was just a meta call.
Oh,
You're not
yeah,
on
no,
the
I will. Check out Yuma Kinugawa's team. That's the
Wow,
one.
you were too
Yeah.
fast, Alex. You already had it up.
I already knew what he was going for, dude. I'm not gonna let that one slip by me. This is pretty dope. Yeah, taking Kyle's team, and it just bothered me. Like, I guess there's been some changes here. Like, Kyle didn't. I think he had Scarf on the Ursh. Anyways, Kyle Livinghouse's Shadow Rider team had Pow Knight, and then I was like, "Ooh, I don't really know if I agree with putting in Didi on that. Like, I know you have a Wheezing to like maybe stop that, but like that doesn't really work that way. You're gonna set up Psychic Surge and not be able to click Extreme. You're not gonna set up Psychic Surge and be able to. Okay, wait, never mind. That's actually pretty genius. And some people might look at this and ask, why isn't it just like a Smeargle? Because like I think that's a pretty reasonable question to ask, and I think it's mainly that the Sash is taken by your Shadow Rider, so you can't use Sash Smeargle on the team. Other than that, I feel like
in your dumbass question.
Rocky
Well, no,
Helmet
I mean,
is decent
the
too.
Indeedee resists Shadow Rider's coverage move if it's a psychic move.
That's true.
It
That's
also,
true.
like-
Smeargle don't got that.
It also like lives the Surging Strikes and Rocky Helmet Surging Strikes. Good.
Rocky Helmet Smeargle can live Surging Strikes as long as it's like not Mystic Water or anything else.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sure can, buddy.
But yeah, this one
this
looks
team
cool.
is based as well.
It's cool. We didn't actually talk about Henry Rich's team. It's honestly, I like it because it took that like ability shield Koraidon Wheezing stuff and distanced it from Dondozo. So now I can respect it again. It's kind of weird. There's a lot of strange stuff going on here. But yeah, this is
But no
funky.
strange scheme.
I
No,
just
true.
really, really, really hope that Henry never had a situation he fucked up and accidentally had Ditto next to Weezer.
True.
Oh,
Other than
all the
that,
teams are like fine and people push the format forward, but fuck this format.
it is kind of crazy that Heatran is just like turned out to be like more viable than we'd expect. Like somebody's using it here with a Zamazenta team. Like I don't know. I mean, I guess it just makes sense. It's got a unique typing paired with
Well,
like
Chiyu
an
Flutter has a
ability.
resurgence now, and then more and more
Yeah.
people are using Koraidon, and Heatran with a fighting resist Terra is generally speaking pretty great into the Koraidon. And it just like the way the meta has progressed, has that mon's just like generic typing be a lot better.
Ability Shield Wims is also amusing. Valiant needed the
Eric
covert cloak.
got second at Stockholm with Ability Shield Torn too, just for
Yes.
fun.
Yep.
And I think there was another Ability Shield Torn in top cut of this tournament as well. But you know what? That is one of those things where if you are in, no, sorry, it went 6-3. But if you are in this, if you're in Australia and you kind of know what the local metagame looks like, and you know that a lot of people like the Weezing teams, it makes sense, right? That is not something that I think would be generally applicable outside of Australia. But
Right.
if you're going to this regional, you know what your local metagame looks like. Yeah,
You know, the
Ability Shield
Hobbit
Torn,
Zelda
Ability Shield
group
Wims.
chat, it's just going fucking crazy with.
I'm laughing because he played against the same team twice, essentially. Weezing on both, in the first and the last round. Did beat Weezing in the first round. So imagine if I loaded up Ability Shield and played Weezing round 1, I'm feeling so, like, validated. I'm feeling like, this is amazing. This is exactly what it's for. This is what it's all about. But to get knocked out by Weezing at the same time is also really funny to me. It's like, you ran the item that's specifically for this Pokemon, and it still wasn't enough. Oh, no.
Well, are the 6 Mons such, like... Okay, cool, you got your Tailwind up, right? Miraidon is not the team that auto wins against Weezing and DD Shadow Rider with Tailwind up, because when you have the concerns with, like, if you have the boards where Ability Shield is live against Weezing, then you generally didn't have your Hadron Engine up. And I don't think that Miraidon is, like, just hard
Especially Assault
sweeping the
Vest.
team. Oh, I didn't even see the vest. Never mind.
Yeah, it's vested. You know, you're gonna hit him with a non-hard-on-engine boosted, non-electric terrain boosted, Electro Drift, and the Shadow Rider's probably just gonna be like, okay, hold this, Astral Barrage.
I don't know why this team has Tailwind to begin with.
It's a pretty funky. I mean, it's a different
Alistair-
take on Miraidon. It's cool. But
Alistair tweeted saying, it's nice to do well. He hadn't cut a regional in a couple of years, but he said, I only got that far because of pairings. I mostly didn't face things I'm likely to lose to, especially Koraidon. So he doesn't seem to give himself too much credit for this run.
hell yeah, that's Reg G for you. You just gotta get good
my own
pairings.
heart.
It's gonna be all fixed in Reg I, guys. It's not gonna matter what you play against. Right now in Reg G, it's all just schedule lottery. But in Reg I, it's gonna be completely skill based and everything. We'll be excited to talk about that soon.
You can run rock and paper, or rock and scissors, or paper
Yes.
and scissors.
You get it, Nick. You get it. That's actually true.
I don't
know if this is.
But for the first tournament, you can run gun.
Well, hopefully.
Well,
That's always the ideal.
I'm going to be running rock, and surely they won't have enough paper to beat both my rocks, right?
That is one way to play.
No,
it's a pretty good way to play, honestly.
That's
beautiful.
my favorite take. But the problem is when Shadow Rider is the paper, they have enough paper, right? Like,
let's run through the last couple ones here and dive into the actual, exciting thing of this one.
I said that team's boring, and then I saw a Mesprit.
Yeah, I'll agree that it is boring, but it does have a Mesprit. All right, pop quiz. I'm gonna throw this one to Rajan. Nobody else answer. Rajan, do you know what mystical power does? All right, I'm gonna pick the next least likely. I feel like Nails might know it, so I'm gonna guess Adi. Adi, do you know it?
It's the move from Legend ZA, and I want to say it drops Spidef, if I recall.
Okay,
correctly.
wrong. Cool. Nick, do you got it? Do you know this one?
90 base power, 50% chance to raise special attack by one stage.
All right, Nick doesn't know it either. He's closest though.
Wait, what?
I was
By
so
the way,
confident, though.
when
That's
I
my
saw it,
chat.
I had the same guess as Nick. I don't feel like I have ready to pull up Showdown, but it is 100% chance to raise special attack.
Oh wow, okay.
And it's only 70 base power and 90% accuracy. This movie
Wait, it's
not
90% accuracy? It can miss?
good. Yeah, it's a charge beam clone.
Fundamentally, how could this
Charge beam's only
possibly
70%
be good enough? How could that possibly be good enough?
I don't know what led Sam to picking this, but it's very funny. I don't really care to spend much more time talking about it, but yeah, just and then
No.
Rabska.
Clearly, he needed a second Fluttermane because he already had a Fluttermane on his team, so this was the next best choice.
Speed swap Rabska, dude, with Hard Trick Room paired with Miraidon. That sounds so based. It's like, all right, I set up the Trick Room. You think you're safe? I'm swapping the speed.
No, hold on. Go back to Sam's.
What else do you need to see about the mass sprint?
What is this?
I mean, it's doing the same things that Latios does on Zamazenta.
Without being one?
Yeah, while being worse. Yeah.
It could just be a Latios. Or a Latios.
I mean, it's worse into Fluttermane, I guess. I don't know. I agree. I think
No,
It doesn't have dragon type.
Listen.
So
Oh, Bruno, I assume you mean
Why
speed
is it
swap.
a Cresselia?
But that's pretty amusing.
Yeah. I mean, well, this is Australia where we had Magikarp cut their nationals. So like.
Oh, I do remember that. That's based. That was in a double restricted format. Maybe it's time for Magikarp to return.
It's true.
It did actually happen.
It did happen.
And no one can take that away.
And this is why you guys remember when we were having the debate about whether Arabega was comparable to Big Six. Remember that was the Twitter thing of the week. I just need everyone to remember, going back 2 weeks in the VGC discussion topic, that Big Six had a Magikarp on it and caught Australia Nationals. That's how dominant it was. So not even.
Honestly, fair enough. And I guess I'm just gonna say Zelda probably just ran Mesper.
The top 16. It just got the result. No one can take that away from Magikarp.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to talking about Reg I. So I pulled it up at the start here, but yeah, it's basically just everything that we expected it to be. I guess double restricted. I was talking it down as a possibility a lot because yeah, I know, right? It's annoying. I hate that we have to use the letter I. Anyways, I was talking it down a lot as a possibility because I thought that there was like they threw us a real curveball with Reg H and then Reg G being a repeat format. So I thought maybe we would get another curveball. It didn't seem like we were gonna get off Scarlet and Violet for Worlds next year, but I retweeted a couple of tweets from like from Z and Agati, so that they pretty much share my sentiment, which is like we're playing double restricted at Worlds again. We haven't played a regional Dex Worlds since 2017. Yeah, that's pretty much my initial thoughts. What do you guys think? I agree, Nick. Adi, go ahead.
Okay. I don't entirely share the opinion that double restricted Worlds is bad. It seems like, but I do
get him out of here.
Okay, listen, we have not had a regional Dex World since 2017, and that is absolutely the thing that I am a little upset about because regional Dex formats are some of the most fun. Regulation H was a lot of fun, and that's comparable to a regional Dex in a lot of ways in terms of the low power level. And yeah, I think that we definitely should get that, but otherwise, we've basically been swapping between national Dex and national Dex 1 restricted, 2 restricted, and that's okay, I guess. I don't have a problem with 2 restricted. I have a problem with 1 restricted. I think 1 restricted formats are consistently awful. They're consistently the most matchup roulette formats that we have.
You mean, and if we which ones do you mean? Reg G and Reg B?
We have
Dynamax no tournament format. Or no Dynamax no tournament format.
It give it, assuming that the format stayed the same in Sword and Shield, we would have had a Worlds in the one restricted format. Not to say that counts as a Worlds by any means, but yeah, I'm thinking like it seems like that's the pattern they're getting into, right? Just looking forward.
We had a point of this one.
We they are. I mean, we can see that they are rotating from. They are slowly ramping up the power level from regional decks to like regional decks plus to essentially a national decks format or a national decks light with the first DLC to a full national decks to one restricted to two restricteds, right? Like that's the pattern they've been going through for the last 2 generations now. And I think and maybe that'll change with Pokemon Champions, right? There's a lot to see with what will happen when that game comes out. But just to get back to the point, I like double restricted. I think double restricted is a really fun format. I think there's nothing wrong. I get the fatigue of playing with restricted Pokemon. But that doesn't take away from double restricted usually being quite a fun format. 2019 was I had a lot of fun playing 2019 formats. For example, I thought 2022 was actually quite a fun format for Dynamax standards compared to all of the other Dynamax formats that we had. And I'm looking forward to this format as well. But I consistently hate single restricted formats, and I think a lot of the complaints that we're having about this double restricted format are actually just lingering fatigue from the fact that we've had to play a single restricted format for longer than basically any other format that we've had to play over the last 5 years.
I don't actually hate the point. I just cannot get behind Reg G. You don't like Reg G. We've had this format.
I know, okay.
I'm talking about the fatigue or whatever, right? Like we also got fatigued by Series 12 or whatever the fuck that was. When we had 2 formats be the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. Series 12 was double restricted, and Series 11
whichever one was the repeat.
Yeah, that was Series 9 and Series 11 Series 8 and Series 11. It's confusing. Series 8 and Series 11 was the repeat single restricted format, and that was the single worst format that I have ever played, other than 2016. So like, yeah, it's I know.
Repeat single restricted.
We did.
I think he's right. We had single restricted with Dynamax.
We had single restricted once, and that was the tournament with no IRL tournament.
So we had Players. We had Players Cup 2. Sorry, Players Cup 3, the one that John Evans won. And then we had the single restricted no Dynamax format, and then immediately afterwards we had another single restricted with Dynamax format. That was awful. There were no IRL tournaments in that format in either of those.
Yeah, no one cares about the no IRLs.
But I'm telling you that like I'm telling you that with 2 data points now of single restricted formats that we've had, that we had both of them twice. I will my least favorite formats of all time. I really hate single restricted formats. I think they're really bad. They are consistently really bad, and they are consistently really bad because it comes down to you have all of your power, so much of your power concentrated in one Pokemon, and that means that one Pokemon's matchup spread is so game determinative most of the time. And so if your one good Pokemon matches up poorly into someone else's one good Pokemon, it's going to suck. Whereas double restricted, you have the ability to cover for that a lot more effectively. And that, I think, just makes the format way more fun. And so now, having played through 2 different single restricted formats twice, I really just think that is the problem. These have consistently been some of the worst formats of Pokemon that I've had to play.
Yeah, my rebuttals
from I was going to say, I want to hear from Nails next real quick, but I just want to mention also for people that it might not have checked, I put a poll in the chat just to see what you guys are thinking, if the Reg I is hype or boring. Those are the 2 options I've given you. So anyways, with that, Nick, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, like I'm fully in on restricted fatigue. I took the last 4 months of VGC off pretty much, just because I didn't want to burn out. So I'm like moderately refreshed and ready to go for Milwaukee, but I'm not really excited about it. It's fine. Every tour gets every format gets one good tournament. So it'll be okay, but I'm not super thrilled to be playing 2 restricted. I do kind of agree with Adi that 1 restricted sucks, but it's like also like I said earlier, you get you get 2 rocks or 2 papers or 2 scissors. It's like not actually that much better than 1 restricted, but it's fresh, and fresh is good.
That is going to be
I think
the
you're
most
bad,
important
Adi.
thing. Go ahead, Rajan.
I just think Adi's bad. Like
Mhm.
I hear the not enjoying it. I hear that it was like unenjoyable. It was lengthy. We had it for a very long time. It's objectively an unfun format. I'm not going to take away like I'm not trying to like pretend that it's because of like that it's a very enjoyable format like Reg G or perhaps single restricted from a fun perspective. It does feel very archetypal. Is that the word? Archetypal?
Archetypical, I
Yeah.
guess.
Archetypical? Archetypical?
I don't know if
Archetypical?
Yeah, right.
archetypical is the word, but I like it.
Topical?
I've used it before.
Archetypical, I think.
I'm a big
But
fan of art.
No, it's not that one.
the way that the restricteds, especially as the formats tend to develop, the way that the one restricted like matchup goes, you tend to express and like you tend to learn more pieces that cover the negative matchup spread from the restricteds, and then the way that the format developed. I'm gonna be completely honest, I completely forgot about the Dynamax format that you were referring to. I have blacked that period out of my brain.
Honestly, it's for the
So I
best.
will own up to the fact that I was being belligerent without actually remembering the format you were referring to. Completely forgot about that one. But the way, especially that Reg G has progressed, is that while the matchups between the restricteds are obviously extremely important, we are recognizing the increased importance of the non-restricted pieces to compensate in a way that's like actually more like on par with the restricted's power level in a lot of ways that like you wouldn't necessarily appreciate. Like the Heartflame, Urshifu, the newfound Heatran, like the dynamics from like all the pieces that we're adding next to our guys is just more impactful in a way that I just kind of think that the like my restricted is bad against your restricted mentality is a just get better kind of situation. Um, that was not to say you have to enjoy Reg G. I don't. And that's not to say you should or should not be excited about Reg I, but I think that piece of it was just like kind of mid.
you are
So
going to make me pull up win rate data for all
You
the
can pull
restricted.
it up, and my response, regardless of what you show me, is going to be get good kid. So like we can play
so
the game.
Rajan, I do want to mention one part of yours because I think that that's going to be like the most interesting thing going into Reg I, as you mentioned, Heatran, Urshifu, and Heatran, Urshifu, and Ogerpon, and I think that the difference between those is the Pokemon that you're non-restricteds are going to have to they're going to play a little bit more of a supporting role. So I mean, Ogerpon is going to like go up, I think, in usage, like generally, just like talking about all the Ogerpons. Like Follow Me is very good in restricted formats. Urshifu is still going to be good because it's Urshifu. But like Heatran, that's one that I'm going to push back on a little bit. I feel like Heatran was like kind of like making up for like it was kind of functioning like the second restricted. Not that it had the power level of a restricted, but it was just like covering for your restricted's bad matchups very specifically. Like on that Terapagos team, it was very good into Koraidon and Zamazenta, which are fighting type restricteds, and Terapagos doesn't like those, so it makes sense.
Yeah, the piece was not that there weren't like that some have positive matchups and other. That's not something I'm going to say. Like Koraidon often feels very difficult feeling in front of Kali Ice because Glacial Lance is pretty powerful, like things of that nature. I'm not saying that that's not the case. I'm saying the impact of non-restricteds covering for that is a lot bigger than just like it is rock paper scissors whatever. Like Cornerstone, Heatran, Koraidon, like generally speaking, can make like opposing Kali Ice feel pretty awkward.
Yeah, yeah. Those guys will still be important, but yeah, I think it's going to come down to like, I think some of the ones that are on the fringe are going to start to fall off, like Heatran, like maybe Blood Moon, maybe Roaring Moon. We'll have to see.
Reg I is going to be more about the roulette of it because other Pokemon don't matter.
I disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead. Oh yeah,
Oh,
no.
okay.
All right,
I was
I'm
gonna
gonna
say
pick.
that,
I'm picking Nick.
yeah, like you just get when you're playing double restricted, your mons just tend to take a more supporty role and they don't have to do as much damage because the damage output is already covered.
Yeah,
I'm hoping this means that Urshifu is less important.
it
I
will
really
be.
think it does.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of the restricteds themselves are actually pretty okay into Urshifu. They have enough stats to take a Surging Strikes and just kill it back. And then just Urshifu's kind of filling the restricted role of farming supports. And just Urshifu's probably going to be less necessary. I say that, and then it's still just going to be like the best one in the format. But like, a man can hope.
By the way,
No,
I know
I
that
mean,
we could probably be talking about this off the show, but I'll just mention it now because why not? But I think for this week, it'd probably be a good starter to talk about like the restricteds and how we think they are going to shape up based off of like Reg G, and then maybe next week we get really into the weeds with the non-restricteds and stuff like that because that's probably a bit more of a talking point. But
yeah.
go ahead with what you were
We
going
got
to
a plan
say.
for this week. I got that. So now Nick brought up the second point, but the first I'll address what Nick said first is that I have been kind of going through a lot of the limitless tours and Japanese tournaments that have been playing GS Cup, and I will say Urshifu nowhere near as high usage, partially because a lot of teams have a Zamazenta or a Koraidon on them, and they do kind of overlap in a lot of ways. So that is really nice. That is definitely something that I'm excited about. But to address Rajan's point, I think that you actually are going to see more of an even matchup spread in Reg I. You could frame that as less diversity, and I think I would frame it as less diversity as well if I were being negative. But yeah, like if you look
Would
at
never.
this restricted format in Reg G, you see 7 restricteds that are all very common. And then you see a few more that are on the periphery, the Groudon, the Zacians, all that stuff, that are on the periphery. But really, the Lunalas, right? Eternatus. So there's really like 7 that you should expect to see, and then another 3 that you can reasonably maybe see, right? That's a lot. That's a lot to cover. And when we talk about, oh, you can use your non-restricteds to cover for your restricteds bad matchups, yes, but there's always a trade-off when you are team building. And so if you are making your team less inherently strong to cover for its weaknesses, then you are conceding, you're giving a concession, and you are less likely to win the even matchups. Whereas if you really play to your restricted strengths as much as possible, then you are going to you're going to win more of those neutral matchups, your restricted neutral matchups. But it means conceding, the CSR is not going to beat the Terapagos, right? The Terapagos is not going to beat the Zamazenta, and that's going to suck. But when you have 10 restrictions that you can face, that's a really hard trade-off to make because you don't know what your matchup spread is going to look like over the course of a tournament. You could go 14 rounds and not face a single Zamazenta or a single Terapagos. And I mean, I'm looking at my GC run with Calyrex Shadow a couple of weeks ago, where I played 32 games and I played 1 Terapagos, right? And I did really well in that GC. No duh, right? I didn't hit the one really bad matchup that this team has. And so that's going to happen a lot more when you have 10 different restrictions that you can see and you only get to pick one of them. When you have, maybe 12 different restricteds, I don't know. We're going to do this, we're going to try to figure out what restrictions you can use reasonably. But when you have a lot of restricteds that you can use, but you get to see 2 of them, then all of a sudden that starts to even out a lot more. You can reasonably, if Calyrex Shadow is at 40% usage, but there's 2 restricteds, you're going to see about 40% Calyrex Shadow usage pretty consistently. You're not going to see huge swings in Calyrex Shadow usage over the course of your tournament run. Same with Calyrex Ice, same with Miraidon, same with Zamazenta, right? All these top restricted you're going to see them fairly consistently in different combinations, which is going to make it feel fresh and diverse, but you are going to see them more regularly. And I think that's going to make it so matchups feel less swingy, and the trade-offs that you have to make in team building are going to be less frustrating than in the single restricted format.
Yeah, I don't think I 100% agree. And so, for example, when we're playing the double restricted formats, like one thing that is exciting about it, like as is being expressed, is
You get to have 2 instead of 1.
You have 2 instead of 1, frankly, right?
True.
Like when you have 1, and that is the restricted in the one restricted format is the market share of your team. That's the build around. That's the idea. That's the thing that's exciting. However you use it, it is still the focal point. Whether it's like Koraidon and it's enabling a lot of other Protomons, whether it's the Shadow Rider setup support the king, or use Shadow Rider as bait, whether it's Zam bounce, like you're building around what that thing does well. So with the second restricted, you do get to have in your head, you can build it in a couple of ways, right? Like you can have these guys are 50-50, they're like best friends, they're like life partners here. You could have the one where it's like one restricted is the build, like is the idea, and you can even have like a supportive or like a restricted that's more like like uh, kind of like
Taking the back seat.
fun for the team. Like yeah, like a more like a backseat guy, which can change things up. But the thing about right now is I think we have our splashables. We have Shadow Rider as a splashable. I think
Mhm.
Zam is splashable. I think people are using Miraidon as a splashable or will be using Miraidon as a splashable in a way that it's probably not. But like because that they are going to be taking like such a, it's not like Shadow Rider is going to be it's not going to be split evenly across the field. So if you have like a restricted, for example, that is like weak-ish to Shadow Rider, I don't in my head like have that off the top of my head. Like let's say Koraidon is weak to Shadow Rider for the purposes of this example, your Koraidon's going to feel like dog shit all tournament. And that's not like inherently the case with the like even if you have like the other guy that's like reasonably good in the Shadow Rider, because there's the splashable ones they're going to be seeing pretty often. You're going to be facing those frustrating board positions more frequently.
I'm
So
a
I'm a
balloon that's
little
about to
annoyed
burst,
about
so I
Zam
have
for
to.
the splashables.
I'm a balloon that's about to burst, so I have to like interject and get into the weeds of the actual like metagame and stuff like this because people have been bringing it up a lot in chat. Rajan just mentioned
What
it
do we
now.
do? I haven't looked at the chat once, which is my
No,
fault
no,
as a
no, no.
host.
Just the chat is talking about how like every team's gonna run Zamazenta, and I've seen this take so many times, and I just
No,
like
they're not.
really heavily disagree with it. Everyone's
They're
like,
not
every
going
team's gonna
to
have a
at
Zam.
all.
Zam is the best. Like, and I'm just like, is it? I really just like it is. So like I want to start the
Reg is a
discussion.
pretty good move, but like there's always there's always like diminishing returns to like if 80% of people have a guy. Like sometimes there's just no reason to cut it, but a lot of the time there really is.
I do not think
It's
that Zam is going to be that absurdly strong. Just like it's going to be solid. I think that we're gonna one thing that's like strong about Zamazenta is that I think it has a really good base typing, and I think that's probably going to be one of the most important aspects of
And Roger.
Reg G is like you want or Reg I, you want your restricteds to have good natural typings. Like Miraidon has a really excellent natural typing. Ice Rider has not a great natural typing, and so like
it's
the
decent
because
type. No, it's really bad, but
it's just that we aren't going to always be able to Terra both of our restricteds. As we'll never be able to Terra both of our restricteds. You can only Terra one. And you know, in Reg, Adi's like thinking, like he's like hinting at like a future format. He's like, huh? You know, eyebrows. Like, no.
Double
Anyways,
Terra, no species
double
clause?
Terra. We're not getting the no Terra format. We're getting the double Terra format. No one's mentioned it. Anyways, let me get back on topic. So, yeah, basically, I think Zamazenta. I think a big part of the double restricted format is going to be like you don't get to Terra both of your restricteds. You're only going to get to Terra one per game, and so can the other one do fine without getting two Terra? It's going to definitely warp how the format is played and what teams you can build because of that. And so I think Zamazenta is good in that regard, and I think Terapagos is really bad in that regard. But I want to figure out like where I guess we're putting Zamazenta just to like kind of start things off. But like, yeah, what do you guys think about Zam in the format? I'll just pick somebody to start because otherwise we're all start at once. But Nick, what do you think about Zam?
I mean, so you got two restricteds instead of one, so your average usage for restricted is going to go up double. Zam is going to be more than twice as used in Reg I as it was in Reg G. I think that's pretty clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be like, I don't know. It's hard to guess these things. Wouldn't be surprised if it like 4x its usage. So definitely, it's going to be pretty high up on Reg I good, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
fine in Reg G. It's a little bit. It's like probably 30% up in Reg G good, and
Right.
uh, yeah,
Maybe
sure.
50% in Reg I good.
Yeah.
Adi, what do you think about Zam?
Yeah. What you said? You said 50% usage. Um,
I did
that's a
not say 50%
lot.
usage.
No,
What do
he
you-
said 50% good in Reg I. Like he's talking about like on this like
Yeah, no, I was
50%
not
of the way
Oh,
into the
I
good
see.
yeah.
axes. If you have the
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean,
thing up.
it is undoubtedly better in Reg I than Reg G, which is just saying something because it was quite good in Reg G. It's got wide guard, which is like crazy when every team gets to have a Calyrex on it, right? That's a really big part of it. It is really good
Just
into its
one of
war.
them. You can't have
Just
one of
two.
them.
true. He mentions a good point.
Oh
Species
man, that's like the
clause.
one good. That's the one thing that species clause does, man. That's a whole
Ah,
different. Uh,
species
um,
clause.
God, I hate it. Yeah. So it's yeah, Mon. I think the Mon is probably higher than what you have it because I think it's a top 3 restricted Pokemon in Regulation I. Maybe top 3 or top 4. And so if we're gonna put it that far low, we're gonna have to put a lot of restricted lower than it.
Right. I feel you on that. I could
But
say
yeah,
it's like a
if
little bit
it's
higher, but I don't know if I agree with it being like top 4
if
or
it's
not.
the
I'm just
third
not.
best guy, like yeah, like we're gonna have that. That's probably where the third best guy goes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get to it then.
Okay.
But yeah, Rajan,
I
do
mean,
you have
I
any
don't
Zam
see
thoughts?
anything that's gonna be super far right on the chart. Like none of them are turbo broken. So
Zam to me is one of the splashable. I think that when you are building these things, you kind of sort of in a lot of ways like can have like your fun restricted with character. If you want to do like an ogre or a Groudon or something along those lines, right? Like you're like, this is the one that does like fun things. Zam is your backbone for the fun thing that you do. Zam is a splashable. Shadow Rider is an offensive splashable. I think Ice Rider is a splashable too, from like bulk and having trick room perspective. I think Miraidon is again arguably a splashable, but I think the 3 that are the splashables are the horses and Zam. And as a result, I think it's just like I think it's going to be one of the guys that's like really pillared into the format. Zam and a lot. I'm not saying Zam is particularly broken, but like from a base typing perspective, as described, it gets to hang out without Terra. It has immense bulk and like has just really good checkmate positions. You've done something funny with your other boards, and then they have to use their switched up resources to kill your Zam, and it has the wide guard options. So I think that like even if it's not like super broken, it's like going to be second or third most used guy. And I think it's further right than it is, and I think it's slightly higher up than it is.
You think
I
it's?
also
Oh, I
want
don't
to
know if
mention.
it's much better than Reg G. I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
it's
it's better than
further
Reg
up.
G. I want to mention a couple other moves that it gets that we haven't really talked about that it doesn't use
Coaching
now.
is not real, and it's not good.
Well,
I
so-
agree.
I just need you to
there-
know it is not real, and it's not.
When
good.
you read off your list of moves, Adi, just know that coaching is not real and not good. Okay.
Okay. Coaching and Howl. Howl.
Oh, okay. He starts the list with coaching.
I'm sorry,
Cool.
I meant that one too. That was implied. By
Oh,
You
yeah.
probably will see them run body press, wide guard, protect, steel move, but you couldn't maybe drop the steel move in a format where you have a second restricted.
Adi, you have failed to mention what several people in chat have mentioned. In prison.
If someone said, if Snarl has said a single
No.
time, ban them.
No, you don't get to run in prison on your Zamazenta. It's not good. I'm sorry.
You do not have
Unless
to
you are
use
running Zama Terapagos. Is that like the only reason that you would run in prison? I can't think of another reason to run in prison. Oh, it's for wide
You want
guard.
to have
That's what
two restrictions?
It's for the
that are
wide
weak to
guard. I
body
think it's still
press
good for the
or
wide
the
guard.
wide guard.
weak to body press?
Yeah, a turn. It's a turn late. It's a turn late to wide guard, right? Like you have to click in prison, then get your Calyrex Shadow in.
There's already
Right.
a ladder.
It's not-
That's hype. That's hype.
But anyways,
Reg I, and
I
the
think
I
Zam
stands
is
for
like
prison.
You imprison
second
the wide
best
guard
guy.
and don't ask. I mean, I guess it's just body press protect, but that sounds so
Zam
mid.
is second or
That's
third
really
best restricted.
bro. You got that guy's got to carry the game. What if he can't carry the game with mono body press, wide guard, protect?
He's the
imprison?
older brother of your dumbass restriction.
So, Nerd
You
now,
wanna do something?
I will meet you halfway on this. I think in prison, Zam seems semi-viable. I'm gonna fight you on Nasty Plot, actually. I don't think Nasty Plot seems as viable in a format with a higher power level. Like,
I think
you're gonna keep-
Specs is a lot better this format.
You can
than
use
it was
your-
last format.
your classic like goon squad guys to keep your Shadow Rider safe from one of your opponent's Pokemon as you fake it out, that other Pokemon's gonna hit you really hard. Like I feel like I don't know. Let's move Shadow Rider into the middle here now, and I'll start with Adi because he likes this horse, I guess.
Mhm.
Adi
I,
likes
I
horses a
think
bit too much. Wink, wink.
Yeah, we'll get into that for a separate
well,
episode. But anyways,
it's
tell me
it's
about Shadow
not
Rider.
it's
That's the
it's not the
intervention episode of Tub Takes.
it's not the horses, it's the horse medicine. Okay, I just have to have the horses to get my ivermectin.
True.
Okay.
That man is not getting measles, let me tell you.
So Calyrex Shadow is fairly good in Reg G. It is. I think we can agree that it's slightly better than Zamazenta in Reg G. But not one of the top. It's arguably top 3. I don't know where you want to put it there, but yeah, it's better than Zama for sure. Not one of the top 2. And in terms of Reg I think it is probably the single best restricted that you could be using. It is fast. It has the strongest spread move in the game. Nick can correct me if I'm wrong about that. Is Terra Starstorm the strongest spread move in the game? I don't know.
Terra Starstorm is
anyway.
funniest spread move in the game.
Isn't it Water Spout?
CSR gets stabbed.
Oh, Water Spout. Right. Water Spout.
I mean,
yeah.
It's not the strongest one, but it's the best one.
You mean Dragon Energy? You dumb fucker.
Oh God.
That's true. So yes, yeah. It is really, really strong. It's really, really fast. It sets the speed tiers, and I think in this format it's going to be harder to stick your photosynthesis mon and have like faster speed control, right? I'm not sure how that's going to play out. But yeah, it's very fast. It's very strong. It hits all the other restricteds really hard, right? Like the only restricted that resists Astral Barrage is Terapagos, because we don't have Evil Tall in the game, and Terapagos is like not very good, as we're going to talk about. Rajan might disagree with that. We can discuss that later. But the fact that it hits everything, it hits Calyrex Shadow, hit Calyrex Ice, Miraidon, Koraidon, Mewtwo, Lugia, Ho-Oh, all those guys pretty hard. It's pretty good.
True.
So yeah, I think it's the single best restricted in the format right now. It's not the only good restricted. You don't have to run it, but I think it will be the highest usage restricted overall.
I think it suffers from its own kit.
Yeah, Nick, I would love to hear your thoughts.
By it, I mean the rest of the format. The rest of the format is suffering from CSR's kit.
Yeah, right.
CSR is the other big boy splashable. That shit's gonna be. I don't know what its usage is gonna be, but it's gonna be in a way where, like, if you have a single restricted that's not good at the CSR, it's gonna feel really annoying. Like, we did make the joke earlier about like we put out rock once. How about rock number 2? But if like the horse is paper, you're still fucked. That's like kind of sort of the problem with this mon specifically, because the board states that are like, if you have 2 mons in front of Shadow Rider that like are kind of weak to Shadow Rider, like
It's tough.
It's bad. And when you have
that
one
can't
mon
do.
that's weak to Shadow Rider and like one mon that's not, the one that's weak to Shadow Rider is still sad, right? Like it's.
Mhm.
I mean, if you can trade off the Shadow Rider for one of your goobers, like that's worth.
But they're gonna stop you from doing that too, and it's just because it has the speed ceiling on the restricteds, and like like what Adi said is really, really important. For the first time, that's the first and last time I'll ever say that. But it's a lot harder to line up tech ways to deal with stuff when you have 2 restricteds. When your board share is not your restricted or restricted plus support, it feels a lot worse. Like if you're using support for non-restricted, that's just a worse board for the most part. And a lot of the ways we were dealing with Shadow Rider and Reg Chi is like Proto Flutter, or like Chiyu Flutter, or like setting up an alternative speed control, or Follow Me plus Goon, or like random shits to like deal with Shadow Rider. And now it's like you have it's just Shadow Rider's matchup into every restricted is good, which makes it really awkward when you want to have it on the board, when you want to have a restriction on the board at all times.
Yeah. And
it has
by
really
the way,
good partners.
If you want to set up, you're going to say really good partners. If you want to set up your other restricted to do whatever it wants to do, it also, we saw it run Bulldoze in the Dynamax formats. It gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Disable. We saw that in this format.
Wrong format
it gets
for this.
You don't think so?
I thought about that shit
Okay.
but not good.
Does it get
I
coaching,
think
Adi?
like no, it doesn't get coaching. I think, but like it gets a lot of like cool choices where when it's not the only damage dealer, it's still running Astral Barrage, right? It's obviously running Astral Barrage,
I think
but it
it has
also
to,
gets
right.
to
I don't think you're allowed to drop the move like literally in game.
right. But no, you can.
But you wouldn't
but
regardless.
yeah, you wouldn't. But like now, if you want to, you have. My point being, it has so many different coverage moves and so many different support moves that whatever restricted you choose to put next to it, you could probably support that restricted or create a pin with that restricted.
It is very
Yeah.
messed up. Like, it's capable of hard carrying any game that it wants to, but you also don't have to now. You just get to
Yeah.
have it be it's gonna be like a support murder option. It's not gonna be it might end up doing the most damage in the game, but like you're not gonna build your game plan around it. It's just gonna be broken and doing its broken thing, and like
Or you
using
will
that.
build your game plan around it. Like you can do whatever you want.
I'm thinking about all the partners that you can put it with, and
It's good with
You
all
can
of
build
them.
those for a
it is just good
Sluggo
with all of them. Sonic 3 on Paramount. I agree, Mini Man.
No, he's
I
the
don't know.
splashable. I think this is the restricted format, like the two restricted format that we have, where we have to think about our restricted splashables as opposed to archetypes. Like, and I think that's a genuine distinction. Like previous restricteds, like I wouldn't have considered, for example, in 2016, Primal Groudon even to be a splashable. Like, it's not me going like I have this guy and then like Groudon's the build around, Xerneas is the build around. We're putting those guys like next to each other, but it's not like Zern splashed in with every. You can disagree, Nick, but it's not. I don't like Zern didn't splash in with every other restricted. Zern was the one that we like.
Zern was the focal
Appreciate
point of the team if it was
Zern was the
invincible.
focal point, and then other restricteds were like to build Zern differently. Like in this one, it's like you can do your thing, and then like I'm not going to say it's the correct way to build it, but I feel like we're just going to have a lot of teams that are like
It's
one restricted plus splashable in a way that isn't like what we've had in other double restricted formats. And that just feels different to me, even if to everybody else is like, the fuck is this dude on? He's just saying like two restricted is more than one restricted.
even if it's not the optimal way to play, it's going to be way less incorrect than it has been in the past.
And that's why I just think like you have to fundamentally build your ideas around like I want to say ignore the meta, do like the strong shit and just like push your idea forward. But if your idea involves three mons on your team that Shadow Rider can Astral Barrage in front of, and like one of those mons is like one of your restricteds, you just don't have good boards. Like that's what feels bad about this.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Anyways, I am so excited to pollen puff my other restricted with my Shadow Rider. It's gonna be so much fun.
That's true. That's true, dude.
I actually do think CSR Turtle with Pawn Puff on CSR.
Run it with Lunala, dude. You could get your Shadow Shield back.
I mean that very legitimately.
That's my two rocks.
That's your
Shadow
two
Rider and
rocks.
Okay, I didn't realize the Rock was Shadow Rider. I take everything
I've
I
already
said
dragged
back.
Miraidon on, so I can't
Yeah.
grab it back. I wanted to talk about Terapagos because I think it's a funny one, but let's talk about Miraidon because it's like the world champion winning one, I guess,
I get to
and
start
it's
this
pretty
one.
good.
Oh,
So
sorry.
yeah, it's true. Rajan does get to start this one. Go ahead.
No. Just one last point. Can you
Yeah.
drag Shadow Rider up?
Left a little.
In Reg G.
Up.
Oh,
Reg G.
up.
I don't think it's
not
that
that
Reg
good.
G good.
It's not that
Yeah,
good.
just
It's
like
way more Reg good than Reg G good.
yeah, no,
I don't
I'm
think it's
not
that good
saying
in Reg G.
any worse than Reg I. I just think it goes up. That's all.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I
it
got
goes
you.
up. I think it goes down.
We got a lot of space for shitty restricted. Just to be clear.
Yeah. All right.
Miraidon,
Go ahead,
my
Rajan. Tell
hot
me about
take-
Miraidon.
My hot take is it's our first Reg G good that's like not in a.
It's not what?
I think it's a little more left than this.
You think it's more left than where it is now in the Reg I
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a decent amount worse than Zama.
I genuinely like. I don't think this is I don't think that Miraidon is going to warrant the usage. Miraidon is going to have extraordinary usage because it feels like it just does a lot of things that are powerful. It sets up electric terrain, which is inherently strong because Amoonguss is one of the non-restricteds that like actually justifies its space on the field. It like has pivot moves and you think that like Volt Switch gets in your other restricted and it sets up really powerful boards, and then you get to play support Mon Miraidon, get into your other guy, blah, blah, blah. Like, it feels like it should be better. And like in ways it kind of is. Because you don't have to like win the game with the Miraidon. You get to just like be a scare bear with the Miraidon, and then the other guy can win the game, and that's like super allowed. So then like Iron Hands Miraidon plus like Zam or whatever can like win the game. But Miraidon in this context isn't like the broken in that way. Like I don't know how to put it, because in my head, like, it's just like things that make sense.
It's there to
But
enable your irons.
like Miraidon is enabling something else right now as opposed to being the broken. And I think that because Shadow Rider is not only going to be like, Shadow Rider won't just like, it's not like when you have the Miraidon team and you're only facing Shadow Rider and you can play around that idea because you have your other pieces that make Shadow Rider feel bad. You can just kind of have to assume Shadow Rider plus something broken is going to be on the field at all times. And that's just a very different dynamic than what Miraidon had to deal with. And like that matters. Like, I think the fact that Shadow Rider is just going to be like omnipresent, and then you have to deal with like the Astral Barrage is dealing with like all your guys, plus you have another guy that hits the Miraidon, or they have the Shadow Rider plus like Koraidon flame charging, plus like Turtle doing something funny. Like I just don't think, I think Miraidon's gonna be a little more inflexible than it feels like right now.
So I want to, take this into the debate team direction, because I think I saw Adi shaking his head and I'm also shaking my head, but Nick was agreeing, and so I want to hear from Nick now. I want to hear from
those eyebrows were arched. Adi's going to like hang up his eyebrows.
Me and Adi are going to wait our turn. We're going to wait our turn, but I want to hear why Miraidon's were...
Yes, I want to let him go. I don't feel that strongly about my points, and Adi really, really does if his eyebrows are to be believed.
Yeah, Adi's eyebrows are scaring me.
Go ahead, Adi.
So that's what I was mostly thinking. I was sure. I think that you've got some valid points. I certainly think it is worse in Reg I than in Reg G. That is undoubtable. Indubitable. Anyways,
Inhospitable.
That's a totally
it
different
is.
word.
I think that it has some very good partners. It is a Pokemon that is very effective at creating pins. And notably, I know you talked about how it doesn't really like the board states, in particular with the Calyrexes on it. But it also, I think, works really well with both Calyrexes. I think that you can, like, if you put Calyrex Shadow next to a Miraidon, it's really hard to take any attack. And if you put Calyrex Ice next to Miraidon, that is, of course, the classic Volt Beam Speed Sandwich that was popularized by Alex Underhill and Adi Subramanian in 2022. You might remember that. So
I don't
that is
actually know what you're talking about.
The Bolt Beam Speed Sandwich?
We'll tell you when you're
wrong. I've never heard this term before.
Okay, so the idea behind a Bolt Beam, the Bolt stands for Thunderbolt. It's a classic electric move, you see, and the Beam stands for Ice Beam, which is an ice move. Okay.
Now remind me, does Miraidon run a Thunderbolt, and does Calyrex run Ice Beam?
Exactly.
No, that's a good point. And so.
You mean it's the Drift Lance Speed Sandwich?
It's yes, but it comes from the Bolt Lance Speed Sandwich, which is derivative of the Bolt Beam Speed Sandwich that happened a format prior, right? So
Volt Switch then can it be like a Volt Beam Speed Sandwich?
There we got it there. Yeah. So I mean, the idea is like the fundamentals of hyper offense is that you want a really strong single target move combined with a strong spread move that covers all the things that could possibly switch into it. And strong electric move plus spread ice move is a really, really strong pin. So I think that Miraidon Calyrex Ice is going to be very common in the format. I think Miraidon Calyrex Shadow is going to see some play. I think actually I know Nerd of Now is in chat, and I've pulled up a bunch of GS Cup tournaments, and I see that he won one of them with Miraidon Calyrex Shadow. So that's the only time I've seen that. I think that Miraidon has a lot of synergy with Groudon as well as another strong spread move user combined with a single target move. And so I think that the fact that it works so well offensively with a lot of these restricteds is going to make it one of the strongest offensive restricteds in the format. Now, I do agree that it is worse than in Reg G, and I do agree that it is worse than Zamazenta, but I still think it is. I don't know. I don't know exactly what my ranking looks like, but I think it's probably the 5th or 6th best restricted format.
I think it's 4th or 5th.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
So
I haven't gotten to.
I am kidding. about the Bolt Beam Speed Sandwich never.
Man, I'm so hot and bothered because I'm finally getting to weigh in, and I thought Adi sided on me with a little more than I thought he did because I think it's better than Sam, dude. I just don't think Sam's that like amazing. Like everyone's really hyping up this mon, and I don't think it's like that good.
It's the Zam's a splashable.
No, Shadow Rider's the splashable.
Shadow Rider is splashable.
I think Koraidon is also the splashable. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but I think that
I think that's true.
I think that Miraidon is very splashable, and like more splashable than you guys are giving it credit for. Like it's just strong, it hits hard, it's got really good bulk, and it's fast. I don't
It
know.
doesn't have really good bulk for a restricted. It's like fine bulk.
Shadow Rider has like good bulk for a restricted. It just they just take hits just a little too well. Like yeah, they're not bulky like Ice Rider or Samazenta or Terapagos, but they have workable bulk.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not fragile, but it's like there's bulkier restricted out there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there. I don't think there's there's not a lot of like marginally bulkier than Miraidon than when you just end up at Calyrex Ice. There's not a lot of like in between bulk restricteds, is what I'm saying.
I will never say that this mon is not good for what it's worth. I think it's an excellent Pokemon. I just think its Reg G prowess so fucking unbelievably bananas, and people think like it has a Reg I reputation based off how good it is in Reg G.
I'm gonna put it just below Zam in the Reg I graph, and I'm gonna leave it like as close as possible. And then when we get flamed or the results end up being wrong, I'll just just everybody know that I was pushing back. I tried to push back.
Can you lift Miraidon up a little bit, like so out of the box?
It is the best Reg G restricted, right? I think
that's true. We can put it up higher.
Restricted.
Right. I wanted its head to be poking out.
Yeah, it doesn't let me.
Using the bar of like 2x the usage because you get 2 restricteds. We don't think this hits 2x Reg G Miraidon usage, right?
I think it will. I don't think it should.
That's a take. All right, let's move on.
Terapagos. I want to do Terapagos because this is the one that's like really easy to dunk on.
That's a take. Let's move on.
I mean, that's what it's called. Tub takes. Tub takes.
Shit.
Yeah.
Thank you, USVGC, for the raid, and also we got a sub earlier. Cleggy. Thank you for the sub as well. Is that Colin Leg? Okay.
The Colin that beat you at San Antonio, yeah.
Yes, dude. I get my Colin hands, my Colin legs mixed up. There's too many.
Your Colin hairs.
Yeah, true. That is kind of like barely. Anyways, let's throw it to Nails for Terapagos because he knows a lot about the turtle.
Okay, so Adi said he really likes setting up pins with spread moves. That is Turtle's entire thing. It pins literally anything next to literally anything. You can't get out of it with Terra. It's always neutral attack. Your Specs Turtle, it just clicks Star Storm and it does its damage. So that's what it's going to be doing. I think Calm Mind Guy just kind of has to be dead with Zam usage being up and the fact that it can't get out of the body press weakness. That's really tough. It'll enjoy being a normal type in front of Shadow Rider, but they're all gonna have. I mean, I guess if it's underused enough, maybe they won't have that much respect for Turtle. But yeah, no, I think that Turtle is meant to be the main star of the team because it has to Terra for all of its BST. So just being in a format where something else on your team really wants to Terra a lot of the time is going to stress its teammates out, and it's just going to be underwhelming.
I stand by that. Anybody else have any turtle takes?
I don't have the same perspective about Terra in that I don't think that you're like. I don't think the fact that in this format Turtle is the Terra Hog is actually as like problematic as it like could be in practice. I haven't played it in practice, so like all these are takes without practice, right? But I don't think that it being a Terra Hog is actually as big of a deal. I was on the I think this mon is kind of dog shit train until Justin was talking about it a little bit, and I kind of agree in that just set up board that's hard to deal with good, right? You cannot you cannot defensively switch around it, and Turtle does just get to say this is what's happening on this position. This is what's happening on this position. You were dealing with what is probably going to be a Terra Spec Starstorm, and that is just what is going on right now, and that is what the game we're playing. And that is it is the guy that's going to be asserting its own neutrals better than other mons are in a way, or because it
Yeah,
doesn't matter what's on the field. It's going to be
it
taking
doesn't have
that
to carry the
45%.
game, which is nice for it.
And ignoring the game does mean that its strategy is useful against every other Pokemon besides forcing Zam to press body. Zam is the dude that makes him the most unhappy.
Mhm.
But him being able to not take Astro Barrage is really cool too. So you give and take, but you just have to deal with Terra Starstorm, and Terra Starstorm is going to be setting up your damage pins for your other guy. You squish things with Specs Terra Starstorm. Suddenly your Zam is killing everything on their team with Body Press, right? Or your Zacian's killing everything with Behemoth Blade, or whatever it is, right? And that's just something that Turtle gets to do that other guys don't.
Yeah. Okay, Zacian and Zama do seem like
I think Zash and Turtle. I think Turtle's best friend's gonna be a dog because then it has really cool neutral.
Yeah, they just kind of don't care about their matchups as much as a lot of the other guys, and neither does Turtle. And it's
They
a
also
pretty
have
cool
really, really, really strong natural typings, which I think helps.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
But yes, I agree that Calm Mind set is probably not going to be functional anymore. Specs, I'm not that interested in Specs. Specs definitely seems like the only way to go. I don't think it seems that strong though, because
seems
you
pretty
have
okay,
you have
probably.
to Terra to match the level of a Calyrex, and those guys just don't have restrictions. You can just click, you can just click Astral Barrage, you can click Glacial Lance. The only plus side is that nothing resists Terra Starstorm, but I think it'll be pretty reasonable to pair another restricted with your Calyrex that hits the things that resist Glacial Lance, that resist Astral Barrage, as opposed to pairing something with your Terapagos that's going to have to Terra to unlock its strong move.
I'm starting to think about Calm Mind Turtle, and I kind of think it might have some legs actually. Like,
Well, it's a turtleneck. It doesn't have legs.
It does have legs. Turtles
It does
have
have
legs.
legs. It
Let the
loses its
dirt
legs when it
let
transforms.
let the record reflect that turtles have legs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
anyways,
they walk
yeah,
with them.
if you're using one of the restricteds that gets super owned by Shadow Rider, you probably could set up a Calm Mind Turtle board that's just really annoying for the Shadow Rider team to deal with, and that allows you to run your restricted that the rest of the meta isn't respecting. So I think it's the Calm Mind guy is a meta call, but it's a way to just kind of have a turtle that can stick around for an entire game, which Specs guy probably struggles with. And if that's what you need in front of a Shadow Rider, that's what you need. And it can probably do that.
Is it moving left
Gonna
or
be
right?
benefiting from Calyrex's kick.
So true.
Left
are
or
we moving it
right?
left or right?
It's
I
not
want to
that
move it.
good in all honesty in either of that.
No,
I don't think it's
it's
Reg I bad. I think it's on the
better
line.
and
I was
regular.
kind of thinking of the line. It could just be on the line.
I think it's
fine in Reg G.
fine.
Audie, I don't
I've
think
been
you spoke
talking
much on the
about
turtle. I want to hear your take.
more than
No,
I was.
you've hit all of my points. I think that
Right,
it's a
for
Terra
sure.
Hog. It wants to be put with something that has naturally good defensive typing, and that's not something most of the restricteds have. I think Zacian will be its best partner.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I think that its weakness to Zama is going to really be a big detriment to it. I think it's slightly bad. I don't know. I can see it on the line as well, but yeah,
it's more interesting for it to not be on the line. Let's put it over here.
Okay.
I think it's on the good side of the line.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You
I
would.
do think it
I
is.
came in expecting to hate Turtle, and after talking it out for a few minutes, I'm really actually on board for Turtle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've just
I don't
got
think it's exceptional.
4 or
Turtle is
5
definitely
more
not
restricted.
splashable.
So here's the thing. I'm looking through this list, and I've got 4 or 5 more restricteds that I want to put ahead of it, which means that we're gonna need the space.
Let's get those ones that are going to be ahead of it. Let's get Calyrex Ice.
And
Alex.
Eternatus.
Alex, you're the Calyrex Ice friend, right?
I'll start with Calyrex Ice. So I think the Calyrex Ice gets
the Calyrex Ice from Bolt.
Are you the Calyrex Ice guy, Rajan? Why are you talking?
Is he
No,
the one
it's
from
from the
the
Volt-
Speed Sandwich?
He's the guy from the Volt Lance Speed Sandwich, actually.
Yes.
My fault. You're
yes.
right. My fault.
This is Calyrex Ice. That is the one from
Oh my God.
BBSS fame. Anyways, yeah, I think that obviously it's doing excellently in Reg I currently, so I feel like it might even be like the second one right now. It's won like several of the past majors or whatever, so we can put it there or something. And then for Reg I, I think that it's like going to be like top 3 as we've been talking about. I think that it's excellent. Its bulk is really good. I think that it does get worse in this format, only because I think it was a little bit of a terror hog in Reg G. It very much appreciated being able to shed its natural 6 weaknesses. And while Shadow Rider,
it's
yeah, it's
more
got
than
6. I think it's 6.
Fire, dark, bug, rock,
Steel.
ghost. Steel. Is that it?
You said ghost, right?
Yeah. I think I know
6?
this guy. So yeah, I believe it's got 6 weaknesses, a third of the type chart. And it can be a little bit annoying, especially because, if Shadow Rider is spamming Astral Barrage, it likes to be able to just like Terra, get rid of that, and, move on with its day. But its friend that it's partnered with might also want to Terra, depending on how the matchup's playing out. So its only resistances are to its own typing. I did not know that fun fact. That is actually a fun fact.
That's so embarrassing.
What else does Psychic?
Fighting.
Fighting goes neutral. Fighting goes neutral. That's why. I was like, what else does Psychic resist?
When you say it that way, it only resists its own tab.
I'm gonna switch in my Ice Rider on this opposing Ice Rider's Zen Headbutt. Or Psychic Fangs. Does it get that one now? I don't know if it does. I don't think it does.
It does, yeah.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. So I think that Ice Rider, it's got a lot of weaknesses. And so, yeah, I think that it's like probably top 3, and it's like really good at kind of giving teams a alternate speed control mode with like Trick Room. Like I think it is the best speed control setting restricted. It's kind of a weird category.
Yes.
Not that many restricteds are fighting it for it. I guess it's better than Bulldoze Shadow Rider. I'll tell you that, Adi.
Lunala is with both
Lunala's the other one, right?
Yeah. Lunala is the other real one. But anyways,
this
I think that
Lugia disrespect.
This is Lugia disrespect, 100%. Scarf Icy One Kyogre. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's like really good, but it gets a little bit worse because its friend is going to want to Terra a little bit. But it's an excellent partner to Miraidon, and I think that those two will complement each other so well. We'll have to see if that's like, a top 3 pairing or whatever. Like I pulled up this one that I did the other day that it's just so messy to rank all the pairings. There's like, here's what it looks like when you go down and look at all the shitty ones. Right? It's awful. It's horrible to look at. But like, it is crazy because I feel like it makes sense, we're only adding on in terms of GS Cup. I guess we took away the X and Y legends, Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde. But it does feel like we're going to have more viable double restricted pairings than we have had in previous double restricted formats. And that is going to be interesting to see how it unfolds, not only with Terra, but yeah, just with the new guys that we have, these bikes. These bikes, they are both very solid. Anyways, anybody else want to weigh in on Ice Rider?
Put them away. They're cybering on the podcast. Stop.
I don't have a fairy type plush in reach.
I think that
you know what Calyrex Ice is. Pet peeve.
Sorry, what was that? You cut out.
You know what Ice Rider's biggest problem is, and it's the vendetta you have.
Is Ryan cutting out for anyone?
You can't run the other one.
He is cutting out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
you can't run the other one.
It would be pretty cool if you could run Calyrex Ice, Calyrex Shadow. I think I think I agree with most of this. I'm not sure if it's better than Zama or not. I think that this is probably a reasonable placement, but it's hard to say. Um, but yeah, it's like it is the second best strong spread move, maybe third best strong spread move if you want to put water spout up there, right? That's the other real option. Yeah, you kind of got to figure out which one you want to run. And it has some cool partners. Maridon's the main one. It does pretty well with Kyogre. It does. I saw some Calyrex Koraidon teams that did quite well. We saw it with Groudon towards the end of 2022, so I wouldn't be surprised if that potentially made a comeback. But the fact that it's being paired with like other restricteds that use a spread move is very interesting. But yeah, I think it's the like trick room restricted, and so it's going to be the one, and that makes it a little more niche than Calyrex Shadow or Maridon or Zamazenta. But I think it's definitely going to be very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me better now?
It does sound a little
Yeah.
better. I think
I think I was just a little too far away. I was a little too confident.
you were leaned way back. It's true.
I was too lean. That was on me.
Nick, do you have any Ice Rider thoughts?
I think it's about as good as it's been in the past format. We'll have about double the usage it had. Guy is really good in Reg G, and guy's really good in Reg I.
Mm-hmm.
Getting double usage. No.
It's not.
Because you can't run the other one. I mean this very sincerely.
Oh, that's actually, it is funny that way. Yeah, that's 100%.
Like, genuinely.
Like a lot of teams will opt into having a Calyrex.
There
It's
will
true.
like horses are going to be on 3 out of 4 teams. Like there will be a horse on 3 out of 4 teams.
Well, what is your thought
You
on
think
bikes?
Palkia usage
Going to
would
keep
be that
us
high?
moving along, and let's talk about Koraidon. I'm gonna have to. I guess the most experienced Koraidon players here is like Rajan, using my team.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I guess we'll start with you then, Rajan. Go ahead. Talk about Koraidon.
Yeah, I mean, Koraidon I think is like the really fun restricted of like the group. Like Koraidon's gonna be the one where it's like, wait a second, we can finally stabilize this Pokemon with something good. Because when Koraidon is the guy that's like the centerpiece of the team, like what Koraidon's generic problems are like really, really pronounced. Like its Glacial Lance weakness is really pronounced when all of the Pokemon it wants to have next to it are weak to Glacial Lance, and like those sorts of like Koraidon's friends tend to all be weak to the same things. Now Koraidon does get to have like a Shadow Rider or an Ice Rider or a Zam or like a Turtle if you want to like be like a really fun guy, and I think that's pretty cool. I don't think he's that good, but I think he's pretty cool. So I think he's going to be like, I think he's like slightly under Turtle on the list, in all honesty.
Okay. I'll push back on it a little bit. I feel like Koraidon's going to be awesome because like you just get to have like a bunch of almost restricted level power Pokemon. Like you just get to run that exact team that people have been running with Ditto, with Chi-Yu and Flutter,
second restricted.
Ogerpon Rock, and Ogerpon Rock technically doesn't benefit from the sun, but it's still probably good in the format. That aside, what was the last one? Raging Bolt also good. And so yeah, you just have like that paired with your Koraidon. You get rid of the Ditto for an actual second restricted, probably Shadow Rider, but you could probably make an argument for several of them, Ice Rider or whatever.
Wait,
and
what if you got rid of the Raging Bolt for a Maridon and then you had a third restricted?
Wait, the Ditto? Keep the Ditto?
Yeah.
Keep the Ditto.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, we'll have to talk about Ditto next week about if it's getting better or worse. Funnily enough, but yeah, I don't know. I think Koraidon seems excellent because it enables so many Pokemon and it's going to partner well with like Shadow Rider. I think the Shadow Rider teams, like we talked about Shadow Rider being a top restricted. My maybe hot or not take, like people are thinking its best partner is like Zam off rip. I think Koraidon is actually its best partner in my opinion. And so I think because of that, it's quite strong. And so I'm gonna, I'm not gonna say that like generally. I would say it's better, generally better than Zamazenta. Because I don't think Zam is that good, but I'm not going to fight you guys that hard if you want to put it below Zam. So yeah, tell me where it's actually ending up.
Let's all of the good stuff for Koraidon. My problem with it, and like what leaves me like a little upset with is like every Pokemon that's mentioned and every and the Pokemon that like you want to put next to Koraidon that's really exciting, like Koraidon Shadow Rider being really, really like offensively exciting. Like pretty much every combination of every board has problems with other Shadow Rider. And like
Not Chiyu?
I mean, yes and no. Like sure, like the Chi was like the one dude that's like not having issues with Shadow Rider, but it's also making Shadow Rider stronger.
It's making my Shadow Rider
And
stronger, not yours, because I'm killing yours. I'm winning the speed tie, idiot.
it just feels like I mean, Koraidon's the pointed stone dude, and I like it a lot. I am worried that it ends up being very difficult to like address the horses without it being like Koraidon Zam or even Koraidon Calyrex Ice, because Calyrex Ice only resists Calyrex Ice's moves. And
That's
that's
true.
when
It's gonna
Koraidon would love a mon that does that, right? Like
gotta put in prison.
Wait, is there a way for you to make it so your Calyrex Ice resists Calyrex Shadow's moves? Is that a thing you can do?
No.
yeah, you can
What
do
about your?
that for him, but
Yeah,
then you
you can
can't do
run
that
like
for Koraidon and all of Koraidon's friends.
That's fine. I mean, yeah, like a lot of teams are going to be committing one of their restricted Terra types to be Calyrex Shadow. I think that's going to be a staple in the format, and I think
Yeah.
that's like not disqualifying necessarily. I've been compiling tournament results from Limitless tours and Japanese tours, and there's a lot of Koraidon Calyrex Shadow. It does. I think that is one of the strongest combinations. I think it's one of the three, or undoubtedly one of the 3 or 4 strongest combinations of restricteds, which we will do on another stream at some point. We will definitely do a restricted tier list or a combo tier list. I also
It's
think
right here,
I've
Audi.
seen.
Let's get into the 68,000 pairings.
Well,
Uh-huh.
this was your personal one. I gotta formulate my opinions a little bit.
No, of
But
course, of course.
I also have seen a Zacian Koraidon team win one of the Terra Rune challenges that we had with the Japanese tours, and another Japanese tour was won by Koraidon Ice Rider. And obviously, these are very preliminary results, but it just goes to show you that there are people experimenting with Koraidon in different ways. The fact that you get
I'll
to
be one of
enable,
them.
yeah, and I
Mhm.
think the fact that you get to enable Fluttermane and make Fluttermane a real Pokemon is like the best thing that you can do, because, like you said, how do you beat Shadow Rider? Well, if you just sash Fluttermane that gets a speed boost, that's like the best way to deal with it, and it stays as a real Pokemon. It can take a hit. It moves first. Like, it is quite good. So yeah, I think that having access to all the photosynthesis mons in their strongest form can not only enable Koraidon, but also enable whatever restricted you put next to it. So yeah, Alex, I think that it is on Maridon level, if not higher than that.
So my issue with Koraidon is that you generally want your mons 3 and 4 on your 4-mon mode to be more supporty, and like enabling the proto mons just kind of isn't really what a team wants to be doing, I don't think. And that's gonna limit Koraidon's ceiling. Like uh as Rajan mentioned, Shadow Rider runs over all of Koraidon's besties. I think Ice Rider does too.
I
Like
think it's bad into all the horses, yeah.
And so I'm just really scared about committing to Koraidon and the besties, uh, when like Shadow Rider is going to be 40% usage or whatever it ends up
The
at.
besties are pretty
Uh,
good into the horses, is the nice part. Like, Chi-Yu is going to be pretty much a staple. I know
Chiyo's
we're
good,
jumping a little bit into the
but
non-restricted guys. Go ahead, Nick.
my claim was that they outside of Chiyu they kind of aren't.
Also my claim.
I think Shadow Rider gets to Astral Barrage through a lot of the besties.
Flutter, I think, is fine. Like, you get to run like a sash on your
Flutter
Flutter,
can
maybe.
contest Shadow Rider, but it doesn't fundamentally stop the problem. Astro and
I
like
mean,
you're
Yeah,
thinking
like
about
if
the
they,
board
if they
from
set up
offensive
a Tail
pins.
Astral Barrage board or an Indeedee Astral Barrage board, like those seem like nightmare scenarios for Koraidon and the besties.
wait, Indeedee? I have my Chi-Yu. I'm clicking Scarf Snarl, dude, or Scarf Heatwave. You're dead.
Concerning my horse can't
I'm clicking
Terra
Helping
either.
Hand with my Koraidon, dude. Chi-Yu's my restricted.
My all my Pokemon can Terra too, man. Like, it's not everything.
Yeah, like
can
it's a
Terra.
silly game, but the thing is, like, the fundamental name of the game for the format is how you set up your offensive, right? Or like how you set up like your offensive checkmate positions.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I just am wary that the easiest piece to put in front of those kinds of scary board states are either Astral Barrage or Glacial Lance. Those are like the splashable moves that like are kind of like the spread move that you put next to the other thing for the offensive pin.
Right.
And I'm not saying that Koraidon can't play around those things, of course. It's a broken Pokemon that does really cool things. But I do think that like you are at a disadvantage because you're setting up a lot of your board states in ways where 1.5 Pokemon are weak to a horse move.
But
Yeah,
okay,
like
so with
Koraidon's
Ice
gonna go
Rider,
well,
yes,
well, but yeah, I'm just worried about how defensively sound it is.
I
Adi?
do think that most Koraidon comps are going to be weak to Ice Rider. But I think that Shadow Rider genuinely is like fine because one, you probably have your own Shadow Rider, so that contests it. Two, you have a Chiyu that is quite good into Shadow Rider generally and is powered up, and so it's very hard to deal with those sun boosted heat waves. You have a Flame Charge, so you can outspeed those Shadow Riders, and yes, you have to get the redirection, but everything does. You have Raging Bolt, which usually has an Assault Vest that can tank an attack, and Electro Web or Snarl to get around redirection and put yourself in a better position. So you actually have like a decent number of tools, and the fact that Koraidon and I mean even like Fluttermane is really good. Fluttermane being faster than Shadow Rider and having a Focus Sash is really strong. Having Thunder Wave, having Shadow Ball, it just has a lot of moves. Like legitimately, I think one of the reasons to use Koraidon is you get to put so many Pokemon on your team that get a photosynthesis boost or get boosts from the sun, and also are good into Shadow Rider.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement. But I'm not gonna move it because we'll have to. I guess we'll just see where it goes. But I would definitely move it higher.
What, Nick?
Oh, we've just got two camps and we're both talking past each other, so that's
True.
like
Mhm.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
So we
We
can
can
move
call
on.
that.
But only one can be right, so we'll have to come back and figure out who's definitively right because it's not subjective. Kyogre. Let's talk about the other weather setting restricted in the format. The only other weather setting restricted in the format. No, Groudon's probably gonna be pretty decent. We'll save that for when he comes up. But Kyogre, I don't actually know. Like it's doing like okay in Reg G. I feel like it's doing a little bit worse lately. It's probably like on par with Koraidon. I didn't know to put it above or below it.
I think
It's
it's a
it's like
down
Xamator.
on the Reg G bad for the first ones. I think it's our first Reg G.
What?
I
No,
don't know.
I
If, I
think
don't
it's
know if
one
it's
of
Reg G
no.
bad.
bad.
I
I
know
think
that's your
Kyogre's
opinion, but it has done consistently well.
That doesn't
Gavin,
having done fine does not mean it's
Mm-hmm,
No,
mm-hmm.
Kyogre is the line. Kyogre is the line.
I could agree with the
no,
line. Maybe.
the, I think like Zacian and Groudon are the line personally, but
Zacian and
like we're gonna
Groudon
be
are below the line.
Zacian and Groudon have results, but they're not like good.
They
Kyogre,
are below.
okay,
If you fail
Is
to a
our
tournament, you're Groudon, you're below average power level for restricted at the tournament.
I think
is
Kyogre could be the
our
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
recognition of Reg G good being has cut?
I'm saying like there were the combine team was really good pre-worlds. It's kind of less good now, but it has results. I'm saying that the more aggressive versions not only did well at the world championships, but also did well at post the world championships at EUIC. Gavin top cut. We saw Pengy top cut a bunch of tournaments with it. Like legitimately, like we've seen a lot of Kyogre do well. To like we hasn't had the same top level results as Koraidon. But it's honestly had comparable results to Zamazenta, like all things considered, in this post worlds Reg G. Like I think it's pretty much on the same line as those guys.
I think it could probably be like right. I think where I had it, I was kind of fine with it. I don't know. I don't know if Zam
It's
should be
above
as
the
high
line
as
for
it
sure.
is. Yeah. Let's talk about the more interesting thing, of course. Reg I. How is it going to be doing? It's not quite doing what Koraidon is doing in enabling a bunch of like broken guys. Like we're not really using Swift Swim or Rain Dish or what else? Is there another one? I don't know. I guess Surging Strikes. That's like the real one.
Isolation, I guess.
Surging strikes. That's the
The-
one that you're really
The one that
pushing.
it does is it's Bleak Wind, it's Sandsear, and it's
Oh,
Super.
true.
It sets
You're
up
right.
moves, not abilities.
Yeah. Good point. But yeah, I don't know if those like really Storm Drain. It doesn't set up Storm Drain.
The big one is you can run Scarf Ogre and not feel like that's the main thing, and that's what makes it. I think its Reg I viability is high.
Mm-hmm.
Rajan, you
Secondary
cut out for like the
Pokemon as
complete
opposed to
like
the
end of that
primary
sentence. By the
Pokemon.
way,
What?
The end of that sentence just completely cut off.
I was saying the Reg I viability is is higher than the Reg G viability because Kyogre gets to play secondary restricted as opposed to like full carry. And
so
when you are throwing away your Ogre to get a Water Spout off in Reg G, it feels a lot worse because you kind of threw away your Ogre to like take 65% from Surging Strikes and then not be a Pokemon. And then you also set up Urshifu. Whereas now you get to actually play Scarf Ogre and like get that damage off while also having another restricted, and that's going to be a lot better.
and not only do
Yep.
you have another restricted, but you also have an Urshifu. And that's like, if there's one thing that Kyogre does really well, it is enable your Urshifu, which is not something that a lot of other restricteds really play super well with. And I think that like Urshifu is still fundamentally a broken Pokemon. And so the fact that Kyogre gives you access to that Pokemon in such a powerful way, and also contests Calyrex Ice really well, contests Koraidon really well. I think it makes absolutely. I think it is much better in Regulation I than Regulation G. And I think maybe that's where you put it on. It's hard for me to. We've kind of scrunched up a lot of restricteds, which I think are
Plus, putting
hard
things
to.
lower.
No, I'm
You're
just
the one
like,
that
do we
wanted to
put it?
save space.
Yeah, well, I also said Zamazenta should be further to the right because we're going to run out of space, right? So,
I think
I
it's
do
fine
think
if guys on top of each other.
That's true too.
I think they can, like they all have distinct sprites. It's not like they can share space.
I don't know
Um,
if it is a stronger restricted than Miraidon or Koraidon, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Kyogre ended up with having a higher usage than those guys because I think it enables like archetypes on its own.
No, I think the bikes are
I
too
think
good.
it's a really good partner for Shadow Rider.
I think Shadow Rider seems cool with it. I like Shadow Rider and Ice Rider with it. But I mean, like, I know those are just the Calyrexes, and it's like we're saying it's the format of the Calyrexes, but both of the Calyrexes are good into Koraidon, which is like one of the most annoying things it can run into. And so I think it's just different ways that you can approach it. You do a bit more of a speed control centric one with Ice Rider, or you can just blast strong spread moves like at really high speeds, like Astral Barrage and Water Spout, maybe even like a Scarf or something, and just run HO. Who
Torn
knows?
or Ogre and Shadow Rider sounds pretty nasty to deal with.
If you aren't running a bike or a horse, you are throwing. Pretty kinda. I feel like the bikes are a little less important than the horses, but I still think the bikes are really good.
Just
Well,
really
you
quickly
say
before
that.
we go to Zacian. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Just the alignment feels weird, right? Because at the moment we have it such that we think Koraidon is better than Miraidon in this format, which we actually agree with.
Yeah, that was the consensus.
That Koraidon's better than Miraidon.
And
Yes.
I think that was the
The
consensus.
consensus was Koraidon's good. Or not even.
You wanted it
They
negative,
said
so I
that
can
it's
understand
good.
why you think it was worse than Miraidon. I think both of the bikes should be past Zamazenta, but I'm not gonna win that battle.
Do we want to line up Miraidon, Koraidon, and Zamazenta and say they're all pretty comparable?
I personally, I'm just gonna say it. I think Koraidon and Ogre spots.
I really do not.
I think Koraidon and Ogre switch spots.
Oh yeah, no way.
Nah.
Simply put, your opinion is dog shit, and I don't respect it in the slightest. I'm sorry. That's the simplest way I could put it.
Okay, and now that you moved Kyogre, all these other guys over, can you also move Kyogre a little bit over? Because it's not nearly as good as those guys, I think, but it is.
Oh, I think it's
Sure.
nearly as good as this.
I really do, right? It might be as good as. I really don't know. It's hard to say. This is the fun part.
Kyogre should be. So I don't think you can pair it with. I don't think Ogre Zama is going to be good. Obviously, you don't run Ogre Koraidon, and Ogre Miraidon sounds kind of sus. But I think it's just a really good partner for both of the horses.
To kind of push back on what we just did, I
And
do
the
think it's a little
dogs.
more interesting and a little more of a a bold. It's like a more interesting thing to do to like have things not at the same level, to like basically like take a stance as opposed to just saying like, oh, these guys are probably about as good as each other. We'll see what happens when the time comes. I think it's more interesting to like be like, this one's better is what I'm saying on day one, and I'm gonna be wrong, and that's fine. So I'm
strongly
okay
agree.
with I'm okay with them not being on the same
You're
level.
gonna be wrong.
Yeah.
We're all disagreeing on our hot takes, which is which is also pretty fun. But I don't know. Yeah, we can keep it like that. That's fine. This is kind of the
I know
consensus,
that
right?
interrupt. That guy's better than you have him. But also, Shadow Rider's like head and shoulders above everyone. So can you move everyone back to the left a bit?
Yeah, true.
I honestly agree.
Zacian, let's talk about Zacian. So Zacian, I think
Yeah.
I want to put it in the Reg I bad. I don't think it's that good. Or Reg G bad. Reg G bad.
Sure.
Sorry.
It is in the
Um,
Reg G
yeah.
bad, 100%.
It's just barely, yeah.
Yeah. It's not awful. We've got guys that'll be lower than it.
You can't point to Groudon when you say that. Groudon's going to be above it.
Oh, I didn't point to anybody in particular. I'm sorry if I did. If it looked like I did. I was trying to like kind of motion to like Lugia, I guess, because it's like one of the first ones that in the order. But anyways,
Are we spending time talking about Lugia?
Maybe not.
Oh yeah.
Man, I feel like nobody's really like a Zacian player in here. I'm gonna throw it to Adi first because I don't know. Adi, just go ahead.
I have things to say about Zacian. I think that Zacian Kyogre is a top 5 archetype in this
Sure.
format. They actually have really, really strong natural synergy. Zacian notably is one of the very few single restricted that is really good into the Miraidon Calyrex Ice combination. It like is really having played a little bit of this format, I think that's one of the mons that makes that team that gives that team a lot of problems. And so that on its own is going to make it really viable. And yeah, I just think like there's enough people who liked Zacian Kyogre in the past that are going to try to make it work. I think it's going to see a lot of play initially. The problem is that combination is going to miss so many moves, and you're going to feel miserable while playing it, which is why I don't think I can do it. But yeah, I think Zacian. I mentioned Zacian Koraidon won a Japanese tournament, a Terra Rune challenge, and so that's like something that we've seen. I've seen Zacian Miraidon do okay. I've seen Zacian Ice Rider do okay. Like you really can't. Again, if you want to put a strong spread move next to something, it's a strong single target move that can create pins. And so that means that all the guys that have strong spread moves, like Kyogre, Calyrexes, both the Calyrexes and Terapagos, all really like being next to Zacian if they are set up well. Zacian also has the very unique property of actually having a good defensive typing, which is not something that I think any of these restricteds, other than maybe Terapagos can say, maybe Kyogre can say.
I was gonna say Kyogre. Water's pretty chill. Water's chill.
Water's pretty chill.
Zamazenta. Zamazenta is a good.
Zam is cool too. Zam is pretty cool too.
Yeah, but like Zacian has excellent defensive typing, which is very funny because it's an offensive restricted. And so that makes it also very valuable because it barely ever has to Terra, and your Terra is going to be a really valuable resource in this format. And so I definitely think this is significantly better in Reg I than Reg G. I think it's Kyogre tier. I think it's right around the same level as Kyogre.
But
Rajan,
lower.
can you do me a quick
Reg G.
favor? Can you thank our sub in the chat?
Rajan, thank you for the sub.
No, not you. I was talking to Rajan. I wanted Rajan to thank you.
Oh.
What? No, I mean, I think that's a really swell hand lad. And who has been completely correct all day.
Well, if you've been completely correct, tell me what your thoughts are on Zacian.
Zacian is so much better in Reg I than it is Reg G. Drop that fucker. Being fine in like Reg G. Drop that mon. Like it's okay. It has top cut a tournament and like has put Regidrago. Who gives a shit? It's a bad Pokemon right now. But what it enjoys is being a secondary restricted, not a carry. I think both Kyogre and Zacian are two of the best secondary restricteds that we're gonna have. Or Kyogre can be a primary restricted you get to throw away. Like I just think they're just mons that work so much better when they have another friend. And Adi is completely correct in that Zacian does hit all of the fuckers up there really, really, really hard. It like hits Kali Ice really hard. It hits Miraidon really hard. It hits Koraidon really like it's just like good. It's a good mon. This mon is good. I think it's like probably further right. I agree. Like it's kind of lined up with Ogre. It's not a little past Ogre.
That's where I was curious because I felt
G
like
list.
it is. I'm curious where we stand on to the left or right of Ogre. I think it's right next to Kyogre, not because they pair well together, but just because that's about what I think its relative strength is. I just don't know if it's to the left or right of it. And I'm willing to hear. Nick, what do you think?
Dog shit right now.
Nick, any Zacian thoughts?
I don't think it's as good as Kyogre in this format. It's got the issue where it doesn't hit Dynamax Pokemon for double damage in this format.
That's pretty big.
It
That's
did
pretty
lose
big.
its skip. It did lose its
double
thing.
damage.
It,
It
if
does
it
still
did
do
that,
that.
380.
Don't you
380
dare
squad.
Dynamax against me. I will hit you for double damage.
It still hits them for double damage.
Does it say that in
This
the move
format.
description still, like in the new games? What does it say?
It says it has a 30% flinch chance, and it's an 80%.
I thought it
Oh,
said it
you're
has a
right.
100%. I thought it had a 100% chance to boost your special attack, but was 90% accurate.
Yeah. All right.
Wait,
There's a couple more that we
I
should
thought it said
definitely
that
get.
if you use this move this turn, you can't use it again next turn.
I think in a similar vein to Zacian, Lunala is a restricted that becomes quite stronger in Reg I. Now it did what? Adi,
Can
what?
we talk about is it good in Regulation G? I still don't know.
I don't know. It has a placement, so just put it at the top of the fucking
It's
list.
got two. It got to finals in two of the events.
This is the real hard hitting debate we got to settle right now.
I think I would be happy in putting it just above the
is
line, but
better
I
than
also could be
Kyogre
live
is.
with it on the line.
It can be. It is on the line, but it's also better than Kyogre. Tell me what that means.
Fine, you can put Kyogre on the line. That's fine. Okay, I can see Lunala is better
There
than
you
Kyogre.
It's a late bloomer.
Okay, sorry, Alex. Do you talk about Lunala in Reg I? No one wants to hear us talk about Lunala in Reg G.
100%. I can talk about it in I. And so yeah, I think that the mon is relatively interesting. Like one of the first things that people think about when you look at it is like, yeah, it gets wide guard in a format that there's going to be a lot of strong spread moves. And Shadow Shield is still a really broken ability at dealing with these nukes that are going to be launched left and right. So on top of that, I talked about how Ice Rider is like the best restricted with speed control. And this one's probably the second best. You know, I think that it's really good to have that option. It's going to pair well with like
It's a
maybe
great
some of the
tailwind
more. Yeah, you're right. It could also be a tailwind setter.
setter. That's what you
I've seen
meant,
people-
right?
Yes, I've seen people experiment with it on like Miraidon comps. Some have run it with like Electric Seed, which is like really funny that you can do that.
Oh,
You
that is
already get rid of
funny.
your weakness to knockoff, and you're also just taking attacks super well from physically offensive Pokemon. Really good into the fighting type. I guess it's mainly just good into Zamazenta. It's like passable into Koraidon. And it also has that meter beam set. Like, there's like a lot of ways. It's really good on Hard Trick Room. We'll have to see how good Hard Trick Room is or isn't. But regardless, I think that it's stronger than it is in single restricted, in double restricted. And but I wouldn't say that it's like definitively better than anything else that we've ranked so far. So it probably just ends up like here-ish.
Do we think this mon is going to be better than Terapagos in this format?
Yes.
I don't.
I don't.
This camp is going crazy. Nick and I are fucking lockstep right
Yeah.
now. We're the Koraidon
It's so
hating
true.
turtle lovers. It's
So-
like,
Uh,
mwah.
You know, I think this guy's just kind of bad in both, honestly.
Agree. That was what I was gonna.
Yeah,
was
I
like,
think
put
this
it
guy's
on
bottom left quadrant.
Hit that guy in the bottom left corner,
I-
big dog. That's what.
Lunala is the Pokemon that benefits the most from not having to be the primary restricted because it
But
has
the thing is, it has to
so
do
many-
something.
I don't even know
it
if
does do things.
Terapagos
like-
doesn't do
Does
shit.
do
Terapagos does
something.
nothing.
The Terapagos has to do something, but Terapagos has to Terra and then try to do something. Whereas Lunala like doesn't. I mean, it has the same ability functionally, right? But it has Wide Guard. It has speed control, like multiple forms of speed control. It has better stab moves, like quite frankly. Like I really think Lunala is going to see a decent amount of play. And it's also like really good into like 3 of those top restricteds. It's only okay into Caloric Shadow, but it can Wide Guard into it, and then it's really good into Koraidon, Zamazenta, and Ice Rider, right? So and it's pretty decent into Zacian as well, honestly.
Is it
If we're
really
looking
good
at that
into
list right now. If it depending on what moves it run, but it almost always runs a fairy move or a psychic move to hit it, right? I guess that might not be true. It can be good into Koraidon if it wants to be at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
It does a
can
lot of
trigger-
things on paper. I think it's a low impact Pokemon where it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It
I-
does get to do the cool thing where its ability makes it such that it's not actually extraordinarily a terror hog, because you do get the turn where you don't die, and that's kind of cool.
Unless
Mhm.
it's Astral Rush coming in, and then you do die.
You can live one, depending on
Oh
what's.
yeah, you can run. You can run like the Ghost Resist Berry.
No,
the
we're not.
next one.
We're not falling for this one, Nick. We're not falling for this one. All right, let's keep it moving.
Also, Alex's
Yes.
favorite archetype, Lunadon, is back, right? You can run Lunadon.
Yes, of course. I
That's
mean,
pretty
Don
cool.
was the next one
So
that's
instead
getting
of
added.
running one bad restricted, we can run two. That's fucking
Well, no, I
Yeah.
think he meant Lunala Miraidon. Is I think what he was.
Oh, my
referring
bad,
to.
my bad. You're right.
Yes.
There are
Okay.
so many Dons.
There are a lot of tons, and so yeah, I
Speaking of
am legitimately I am somebody that enjoys the double restricted naming like game. It's funny when like people like really try too hard to make something work. Like Swordfish is a very easy one to refer, and like it's very easy to know what you're talking about. But some of these new ones, who knows what people are gonna actually like
Dude,
name
I'm so
them.
excited to run Don.
Like, what are you calling
which
like
version?
Shadow Rider
Which version?
Koraidon? We talked about earlier. Shadow Rider Koraidon seems like it's got some strength. Give me some names, guys. I'm putting you guys on the spot. Anybody got names for Shadow Rider Koraidon that is interesting? Funny?
Overrated.
Anything? Overrated?
Core
Okay,
card.
wow. What do you got?
Car?
on it? Car?
Oh, Hot Dog's kind of based. I like Hot Horse.
Shadow Dawn.
Hot
Oh,
Dog.
we can't do this, Jimmy, because there's too many Dawns.
Hey,
It's
Dawn.
Italians in the chat saying Corridao.
Koraidon, dude, no. Sunsteed? But that's not specific, because there's multiple Sun Centers. Dick
See,
Rider
this is
Swish
why-
was high. Dude, I need you on this call. Because you would agree. He was the one that was backing me up on Pogo Speed shit, so we need to get him in here. Horse Spike
Helios.
Tommy, no!
Horse, like, yep.
No. I have not seen any that I like. Hat Guys? Honestly, Hat Guys might be my favorite so far. Because Miraidon
it's
doesn't
Ghost
really have
Rider.
a hat. Ghost Rider?
It's,
Ooh.
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider's good. Ghost Rider from the past.
Yeah,
It's
the
so-
chat's not helping. This is just dog shit. Like,
There's nothing good. There's nothing good for it. It's so sad. Hot and Dead.
honestly, Corridao. That's the one. Lock it
I'm
up.
trying to do
Koraidon. Okay,
Hot
let's
Dead is
talk about
pretty good.
Hot and Dead, but Nick, it could be Groudon still.
No, it can't, dude. Groudon's dead, but for different.
No, we can come up with something else for
The Lexicon duo? No, we're gonna save that for
No.
Ice Rider Miraidon.
No, Lemon Sickle's got it. It's Heat Death.
Heat Death again could still be Groudon, but I it's cool. It's cool.
I like Heat Death.
The Underhill, yes,
Um,
call it the Underhill. Everything's the Underhill. Okay, Groudon. Okay, so Groudon,
if
I
we wanna
think
make it-
it's below. Oh,
Can
actually,
we
it might be
finally
above.
get one in the bottom left quadrant? Love of God.
No, Groudon's good.
I think the
good.
bottom. Sorry, Rajan. The problem with the bottom left quadrant is that it's uninteresting. Like I could easily get bottom
No,
left
this
quadrant
one
with
goes
Duskmane.
there!
I don't think Groudon goes in the bottom left quadrant. I think Duskmane goes down there. I think like
Okay, well,
Lugia
so
goes down there.
what's the standard? Like, is this out of every restricted, or is it out of stuff that you're going to run into at a tournament?
I think it's out of
I think
every
honestly, this game is
restricted
dog
somewhat. I
shit.
guess because otherwise,
I
don't know. Go ahead, Audie.
I thought we
I
were
don't know.
comparing the good ones to each other, which makes some of them
We-
bad.
we are.
No, I'm with Rajan. I thought that like, I didn't think we were.
I didn't think we
putting
were
weird
bothering with Reshiram.
I mean, we're not.
So if we're looking at like 12 mons that are used, then comparatively, some of them suck.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just like the thing is that like this is also
Like,
about
sure,
what would would you respect them at a tournament, and like I think
Yes, but I'm also gonna respect the one Palkia I play.
somebody in the chat, we want Reshiram.
I,
All right, we'll get
I think-
Reshiram on there for you real quick. No.
I think that Groudon has one combination that is really strong, and that is Groudon Miraidon.
Don!
It's Don.
Yep.
I think like there was a bit about Lunadon, which is funny, but I really think that and And it's also very funny to run Koraidon, Groudon, and just double down on always having Sun Up. Very
Yeah.
funny.
Right.
But I do think that Groudon or Rhydon is like a real team you're going to see. And I don't think, like, I don't know. I don't think Shadow Rider Groudon or Ice Rider Groudon are very good. I can't really imagine running those guys.
The only
so
bad thing about Gondon is you're kind of bad.
Rajan, you're cutting out a
Right
lot.
on.
Okay. Well, Rajan's cutting out. I just have to share that I do have the archetype name for Miraidon Groudon.
Yes.
It's Sandy Rocks.
Sandy Shocks. So true. The thing is, there's opportunity cost. I is Groudon better than Koraidon in most cases, and I feel like it's probably not. And so, the only thing that Groudon has that's better is that it like has a slightly better natural type. I think, in my opinion, it's probably not as much of a Terra Hog, and so and then it has like ground offensive coverage, which is pretty cool into some of the opposing restricted Pokemon. So you can maybe make that work. Yeah, it has like an actual spread move. So like it doesn't have overlapping typing with like Raging Bolt, or if you really wanted to run like Walking Wake or Gouging Fire, I guess. But I think that Koraidon's gonna feel better on most teams if you're going the Sun route. And so yeah, I feel like it's negative, and I if you want to, I can put it further than Terapagos because I feel like that sounds right to me. I guess it is bottom left. Fine.
I think it's pretty comparable to Terapagos. Yeah, that's fine. I guess it's probably Reg I bad. Yeah, I get that.
It's not as bad as Reshiram, but
Than Zacian. So drop Zacian down a little bit.
oh, so sorry. What'd you say? You think it's better in
Groudon
Reg G?
is better in Reg G than Zacian is. This is true.
Yeah, just like swap the Reg G placements and leave the Reg I's where they are.
Sure. I'm
Take
saying
your
that
job
tracks.
seriously, Alex.
That tracks. That tracks. Okay, so we've just about hit time for usual tub takes, and so if anybody wants to tap out, obviously feel free. I'm okay with continuing going. There's only like so many more that are worth ranking, and I think some of the ones that are left are ones that are like kind of funny to see. Like, do they actually get that much better? In the restaurants will not be silenced. I'm sorry.
All right.
Um,
Yeah. I think we can rank Reshiram right now. You want to just put it down right now?
yeah. Okay, Adi, give me your thoughts on Reshiram. How good is it in Reg G?
Okay, so Reg G, I think it's actually so good that we all kind of gentlemen's out of using it, but in which I think makes it bad. And in Reg I think we're also going to continue the same thing where we all gentlemen's out of using Reshiram just for everyone's sanity.
I agree.
So
if
fun
we weren't
fact.
gentlemen, we lose, right?
So Rajan, do you want to go on camera, or was that causing your issues? You don't have to.
Am I off camera?
Yeah, you're off camera.
Yeah.
I just
to be
like
fair, you
my-
sounded
your
clear,
face.
so maybe
Well,
no
I wanna
cam was
say
the
for
answer.
Reshiram's sake,
Genuinely.
So
it kind of does line up okay into a lot of the top guys. Like
Nick, stop.
if you get this,
move it over a little bit.
Reshiram
Move it
next to
over.
a
I think
Sun
it's gonna be
Setter.
better in Reg I than Reg G. So like
It is
it's
true.
no bottom left, like super far bottom left, but like it's gonna be less bad in Reg I than it was in Reg G.
I hear you about AV Reshiram beating the dogs, beating the horses.
Okay, so
that's
here's
not
one.
Reg I.
Here's one that I think
And
that is kind of funny and interesting is Ho-Oh. Obviously it's not very good in G. It's pretty bad in G, and so if you wanted to tell me it's on the floor, I'm not gonna fight you. Little England, thank you for the sub. Welcome to Tub Nation.
I give the same Ho take every single time, and it's always right. Ho's issue is that when you're playing it's one of the best mons in doubles Ubers, which is a 6v6 doubles format that just you can use any amount of Ubers. It wins its damage trades against like every restricted except for the guys that are hitting it super effectively. The issue with Ho is that it doesn't farm mons. It just like wins damage trades really slowly and doesn't take much damage. It's always like the best mon 3 that you can run on your team in doubles Ubers. So like you just always have one, but you never run it in a 2 restricted format because it doesn't farm the bad mons, the non-restricteds fast enough. So
Yeah.
slide it to the left.
Oh man, that reminds me. another format that Rajan has forgotten called Series 13, where we could run as many restricteds
No,
as we
I have
wanted.
not
and
forgotten that one. That is one of my favorite formats of all time.
It was so much fun, even because no one had to take it seriously. And Hoa was like 70% usage. Like everyone just ran a Hoa because you could.
Hoa is really good if there are no opportunity costs for using it. If there are any opportunity costs for using it, you just run something else and it's better. Because
I love that format because that format lets you run Zorora and Explosion Aleki.
What's Ho-Oh Maridon about? Aside from, I guess, like Volt switching to get your regen back, that's kind of fun.
Does it have regen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has regen.
Oh, okay.
What's funny is I feel like it probably had regen in 16 or not in 19 as well. I think it just didn't have it in 16. It's
so
just never
Alex,
been
are we gonna have to make? Are we gonna have to make maybe we should have like a stream incentive where we make we do a Reshiram stream if we get a certain number of subs or something. Because China's really going crazy about it.
People love Reshiram, dude. It's like I would rather if you told me I could use Ho-Oh, I would be actually happy to. Like Ho-Oh seems like an interesting challenge. Reshiram seems like an uninteresting challenge. What is it doing? Okay, the thing is,
that we haven't tiered that like
I would run
are okay.
I would run single restricted and run a Chi-Yu
Alex.
instead of a Reshiram. Like, please.
Someone says give us the number. How many? Wait, Rajan. How many subs do we have to get before this stream ends?
We've gotten quite a few. So honestly, if I would run Reshiram to like, you know, whatever benchmark we want to create, if we could just get 4 more in this stream, because we've like gotten a bunch already, and I think we're at 21, something like that is what I'm seeing. So I don't know if we get to 25 in this stream, we'd do some Reshiram gaming. Okay, let's talk about some of the guys that I think are still on the cusp. There's like 3 or 4 more, I think, just glancing. And so let's do Eternatus. Okay, we'll come back to Ray. Ray is one of them, definitely. But let's start with Eternatus. It's been used somewhat. It's made... this is funny, Rajan. Your criteria that we were, shitting on earlier, like, has it gotten any top cuts? This is... I'm going to say, it's gotten some day 2s. So, like, it's not great.
It's a dumb criteria. It's like anybody can cut with anything. It's not that hard.
I mean, it is better than Ho-Oh in Reg G, right? It is. We don't need to talk about Reg G, but yeah, it is the next on this list for Reg G below Zacian. But yeah,
true.
I think this Pokemon is actually potentially going to see play in Reg I.
Why?
Obviously,
why?
Closer to
because it hits Dynamax Pokemon for double damage.
Oh,
closer to Ho-Oh level than any of these other good Pokemon. Like, it's certainly still a bad Pokemon, but yeah, having a like strong no drawback dragon move is actually pretty good. It's got a good defensive typing. Sludge Bomb is a good move. Like it just can kind of do whatever you want, and it's got stupid amounts of stats. Right, it can just tank its attack from not almost anything, but a lot of these guys. And so that's on its own like reasonably valuable. And again, if you can figure out a strong pin to use for Eternatus, it has some very strong single target moves and a very good special attack stat. And so you can maybe put it next to an Ice Rider, maybe put it next to a Kyogre or something, and click a strong spread move, and it might just be good enough. I wouldn't start with it certainly, but I wouldn't be surprised if it got some more day 2s, just like it has in Regulation G.
This mon's dog shit into every good mon.
For single restricted, I think it still sucks, but its kit like wants to be a single restricted guy.
I think it does seem like it's probably better in the single restricted. Yeah,
this mon's dog shit into every good Pokemon.
It doesn't have good matchups, and like it just doesn't really fit the way damage trades work in double restricted.
It loses to horse. It loses to horse. It loses to bike. It loses to bike. It loses to dog. It loses to dog. It loses to weather guy. It loses to weather guy.
It doesn't lose to the dogs, but I get what you're saying, and I think you are right, because the reason people run it in this format is it's really good into the stupid Firewater Grass Core, the Goon Squad that everyone's running, and that's not going to be as pertinent in Regulation I.
It'll still be there, but it won't be as as big of a deal to just take it down.
You only get 2 out of 3 of the squad in your mode unless you're dropping your restricted, and then you get run over. Forgot one of your restricteds.
Okay, Rajan, you mentioned Rayquaza. I want to hear your takes.
Yeah, Rayquaza and Dawnwings are the guys I think we still do.
Yeah.
Y'all-
I think Rayquaza is going to see more usage because it currently sees 0 usage, and will see 1 usage.
Is it gonna double in usage? It's gonna go 10x in usage.
Infinity
Yeah!
times. I don't think this mon is that Reg G bad. It is the only stain on NPA MVP Fede Campo's record, for example.
That's tough.
But this mon's so trash, and I don't think it gets that much better in Reg I. For the reason being that it sucks. Like, that's the main reason. Like, I'm keeping it. It's not good.
It'll be really cool in
This mon's-
Champions. When we play double restricted in Champions and you get Mega Rayquaza plus another restricted that can Terra.
If we can give this mon another 100 BST.
If you can Terra flying, because if you Terra flying Mega Rayquaza, it has no weaknesses. I don't know if people realize that. They'll come to realize it in.
It has no stats and no ability. This mon sucks.
I think I would rather run Reshiram than Rayquaza. I'll say that. I really
No,
do.
I'm taking Ray. Don't. I mean, you can appeal to the
I'm
chatters if
taking
you want,
Reshiram.
Adi, but
No, Reshiram
I
might have
cannot-
matchups. Rayquaza might not have
That was
good
an
matchups.
appeal to their wallets.
like Reshiram, right? I kind of see the vision when you talk about putting it next to a Sunsetter. Whereas Rayquaza, what does it do? It
it
wants to
doesn't
Terra
do
normal.
anything, man.
It loses to Ice Rider. It loses to Zamazenta. It loses to Miraidon. It loses to Zacian. It loses to Shadow Rider. It doesn't do anything. At least Reshiram does something.
Okay,
This guy's
Reshi
really
Ray
bad.
is going to require you all to hit the 50 out of 50 for Reshi Ray.
Yeah.
Okay. Dawn Wings. So Dawn Wings is just Lunala for bad, like super aggressive hard trick room. It'll be okay. So Reg G bad, definitely pretty down here. I think it's probably just below Eternatus, so I guess I gotta diversify my bad restricteds a little bit more. Because I think it's above Ray and below Eternatus.
The thing that makes Dawn Wings kind of funny is its ability interacts better with Terra than Lunala's does. And
I guess in a
like,
way.
having the filter, like Terra Water filter, like whatever it, or like it actually does get to hang, like it gets to defensive Terra a little bit better. It has better defensive bulk because like Lunala's Terra, like Lunala's bulk comes from Shadow Shield, I think, and it's going to come from the fact that like you don't need to. I don't think Lunala needs. I think you're trying to use Lunala in this format to not be the Terra Hog, and to only Terra specifically in front of like Chi or Astral Barrage if you have to, but you'd rather wide guard those. I think this mon is like one of those where you get to like actually Terra and carry with it. So I think it's like a less splashable Lunala, which is tough because I don't think Lunala is very good, but I think this mon's okay.
Yo,
Miniman is asking
thank
for
you for the
Reshiram.
sub. Yeah, well, we are 3 subs away from the Reshiram stream and 28 subs away from the Reshiram Rayquaza stream. So y'all can make it happen.
Okay, there's like I think 2-ish more, maybe. Let me see. So Palkia was really good in the last double restricted format that we played. It was like, it did pretty well. It went deep in some tournaments.
And while we're talking
Did
about
either of you like using Palkia?
No.
I gotta call out Tommy, who said you're talking a lot of Reshiram slander, Alex, for someone who lost to it last time we had a double restricted format.
Oh, I'm so glad you were talking about Alex. I thought Tommy was talking about me. I was like, I do not remember this at all.
Chili Willy,
no,
dude.
You lost to Pikachu last time we had a double restricted format, Rajan.
What did I lose to?
A Pikachu.
Oh, Pikachu? Yeah, that dude can I hate that mon.
Dynamax is gone now, and so Palkia is also kind of gone. So Reg G bad. It's down here with Reshiram. Like nobody's been using this thing in single restricted. I'm not gonna pretend it is better than Reshiram, I guess, but like no, it's 0 is not greater than 0. So anyways, in terms of how good is it going to be in this, I would say that it's like probably Ho-Oh level, pretty much. Like just
really.
You think it's better or worse?
I feel like it's worse.
Yeah. I'm personally not that interested in it. It's kind of like what you were talking about with Eternatus, in that it's like good at beating some of the non-restricteds. Kind of, I guess, the opposite of what Ho-Oh was. Ho-Oh was very good into the restricteds. this guy's pretty good into some of the non-restricteds. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like for most cases, I would take one of the bikes. I feel like that is probably my preferred dragon restricted. And so it's, even though they do very different things, of course, but
I really think the only reason I could fathom running either Palkia or Dialga in this format is because I want to set up Trick Room next to my Ursaluna. And using my Ursaluna as like a third restricted. And that is like not the worst thing you can be doing, but it's definitely not the best thing you can be doing. Because you're basically combining a Palkia and Ursaluna into one restricted slot.
you know what's always so funny about
so-
those teams, Adi? Is those teams, they end up wanting like a Mungus on them, and if you run telepathy, you can't pollen puff yourself. It's just like it's just so annoying if you're yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, that does mean your restricted is like immune to Astral Barrage if you have Ursaluna as your restricted. So kind of here
True.
for it.
True.
Right. I mean, no, like I think Ursaluna is a good Pokemon. I don't think that guy is going anywhere. But and by going anywhere, I mean it just won a regional, right?
Was
So
it
it's
going
right-
somewhere now?
It just won. We just talked about the regional it won. Okay. Yeah.
Where?
I mean, I think Dialga and Palkia are worse than Eternatus. I will say that.
I think
think
they're
they're better
worse
than
than
Reshiram,
Reshiram, and
but
I'll stake my reputation on that.
No, I think I would rather run
Yeah,
Palkia or
just-
Dialga than Reshiram, and not just for sentimental reasons.
I think Reshiram's like honestly sparking more joy than a lot of these guys.
Dales, you and me, brother, we're
So,
we
guys-
are gonna drive the Reshiram stream.
we're driving a tandem bike all the way to Milwaukee.
Lugia is the champion of the Smeargle Muck archetype, and I'm curious if they
As
add
the
another
highest-
restricted to it.
As the highest placing Lugia player in this call,
That's true.
Objectively
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And
So,
he's out
goodbye.
here.
Lugia. Now, one thing I will say about Lugia is it is above Dawnwings in Reg G, right? It does have a placement in Reg G. So that's going for it, right?
can I come back to that being the fucking metric once again?
Wait, Adi, you
I'm
said
trying
it
to
has a
think of
placement in
anything
Reg
good to say
G? What
about
was its
Lugia.
placement in Reg G?
It made day 2 at Los Angeles Regionals. I had to beat
Oh,
it.
yes,
you
this
made
one, this
day
one.
2 at Los Angeles Regionals. Nothing
I made day
matters.
2.
You made day 2 at Los Angeles Regionals. I made day 2 at Los Angeles Regionals.
Oh yeah, there were a couple Lugia day 2s. Now Lugia is obviously very bad. And I think
Thank
it's
you.
just even worse in. I think it's even worse. I think it is maybe the single worst restricted on this list in Regulation I, other than maybe Mewtwo.
So Lugia's
but-
claim to
it goes
fame.
on.
Lugia's
on.
claim to fame is at Indianapolis Regionals. So when I built the Maridon team, I built it with Aaron Trailer, and then our mutual friend used it as well. Chance Hines was running Lugia at Indianapolis, played Robert Moore using the Maridon team, won, then immediately played Aaron, or I don't remember what the order was, but then played Aaron Trailer, who was also using the Maridon team, and then also won. So the Lugia player was running played the same Maridon team back to back, mine but with Ditto, and won both times, and which was feeling fucking incredible.
You know,
I'm
Alex,
laughing.
Lugia does have to go north on Reg G viability.
Oh, you're right.
It
Just a
goes
little
to-
bit.
It
You're
goes
right.
to
You're
the
right.
very far end. It goes to the end of
No,
Reg I,
it's
too. It's
like
the very
without Eternatus level.
I cannot
Um,
fathom a reason to run.
No,
Give me one
Eternatus
reason
gets
to
to do the thing where it bodies Arubega. Lugia doesn't actually get to do anything.
Okay,
So the
sure.
thing that's funny about Lugia is that it is actually weak to Astral Barrage, Glacial Lance, and Electro Drift, but it does take Body Press really well. Eat shit, Zamazenta. Yeah, I think that's
Nerd.
probably about all the
And
ones.
Lunala does get
No,
the
no,
Moon Guy's
I got-
team through multi-scale.
I got one more.
Yeah.
I think we got to talk about Solgaleo and then maybe Duskmane. But Solgaleo was also saw some play with Calyrex Shadow. It is a cool Calric shadow partner because it gets to run weakness policy. It can't be intimidated.
Solgaleo
you
is
need to
the
bulldoze.
biggest beneficiary of Bulldoze on Shadowrun.
Yeah, I mean, like it was shout out
Adi,
Zach Emerizian.
I know we
top
made a lot
cut
of
thinker
jokes, but
with
you
it.
can't Dynamax in this format, man.
Take that
I
off.
I know, but I'm saying is if we're talking about all the shitmons in this format, this is better than I think all of the shitmons all the way down. It's like it's below Groudon, but it's better than I'd rather run it to Dawnwings. I'll be honest. I'd rather run
No.
CSR.
No.
I don't think
Solgaleo.
that's an intelligent take.
You can't say that.
Listen, when we're comparing Solgaleo and Dawnwings, none of these takes have to be intelligent.
You're right. You're right.
No, I'm on team Adi. Like the Bermuda Triangle, Dawnwings, Groudon, and Eternatus, Solgaleo's in there. Or sorry, no, it's S and Reg G, but it's like it has wide guard. It can do fine.
Jump ship for Solgaleo.
If I'm running wide guard on my restricted, I am picking Zamazenta.
Yeah, but what if you want Trick Room and wide guard? Like that's a niche.
And
you're right.
Also Flare
Wait,
Blitz.
yeah,
and Covert Cloak. And I want to hold Covert Cloak.
Wait, is there another restricted that gets Trick Room and Wide Guard? I can't tell.
No.
But does the
There
restricted that gets Trick Room and Wide Guard also get Flare Blitz?
Do you guys think there's any hope for the 120 speed Palkia? It's still not fast enough is the issue.
It's still,
Which one is that other one?
Yeah,
It's a horse. I heard that you have to run a horse in this format, right?
That is true.
Wait, hold on. Is that the only way you can run horse? You run it with a Dialga Palkia plus a horse is the only horse?
I think it's absolutely crazy that it got 20 base speed and it still gets absolutely no relevant breakpoints against other
Right?
restricteds.
You give it
It is
20
exactly
speed and
what
it's
it
not
does
faster
now
than
because
anything new? Just Ogre
It
Pond.
outruns
Just
Jolly Ogre Pond.
yeah.
Yeah, you get Timid Torn too. Like, good for you, kid. Like,
Hey, you're the one that started this call, leaning in on Torn's viability.
Sunny Day Torn is actually going to shut down Solgaleo in this format. It doesn't stand a chance.
no, it's it. You Terra Fire Flare Blitz with the Soul.
You're right. Yeah, I think
I
that's...
do agree though with Adi's take about the horses or like the telepathy plus bear, right? Like when you're trying to use one of these restricteds with telepathy plus the bear, you kind of sort of come to the realization in Reg G that you used your entire restricted to press Earthquake next to for fun. Like you just wanted to press Trick Room Earthquake so fucking bad that you used the worst Pokemon anyone's ever drawn. And like now you can kind of do that. That's all I got. I don't agree with it mattering. I think Bear is just gonna be good without one of these little shit without one of these guys, but it is what it is.
All right.
Unless he wants. Yeah, I don't know.
I was gonna say I'm looking at wrapping up the show, and I'm looking at who we're gonna raid. It looks like Topo is already experimenting with some Reg I, and
what did he put next to his Calyrex and Trick Room?
Right, I know it's got to be Dawnwings, right? It's got to be Dawnwings.
Dawnwings.
His team is built. See him at the top of the next GC.
But
which by the way, keep in mind, we will have a GC in May in this format. So don't just play best of threes.
In Reg G, sorry, you phrased that terribly.
Reg I. We have one in Reg G as well. We have one more Reg G GC, and then we have a Reg I GC.
One more Reg G
we will have
GC.
to play one.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you should be don't just think about this in the context of best of three. There is some best of one to be played as well. And of course, Japan Nationals will be best of one, so we'll be seeing it in both contexts. But yeah, if you missed part of the stream, missed the first part, you can check it out on YouTube. It'll be up tomorrow. And yeah, I think that we've covered basically every restricted. We will talk more about this next week.
Is right.
No,
I don't think
what
so.
Percentage,
We've already covered
what percentage of Calyrex shadows are Terra normal in this format?
all of them. I already hit the raid button, so we were running out of time.
14%.
But 14%, excellent. What was I going to say? I was just going to mention that I'm going to be doing more streaming starting tomorrow, likely just playing Reg I, of course, because why not? You know, I mean, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be fun. So get to dive right into it. But anyways, thank you guys for.
We didn't get enough subs for that.
No, true, not with Reshiram. Maybe in the future. Anyways, Thank you for the follow. And anyways, yeah. Have fun. Say hi to Topo for us, and thank you guys for being on, Adi, Rajan, Nails. So, peace
Yes.
out, peeps. See you guys next time.